What's going on, guys? It's your boy Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter. Sorry for the technical delays over on Eric's channel. He is in a whole new setting after all. I know. You've turned into me, Eric. Yeah, I don't
I
know
feel
what's
like
going
an
on.
amateur.
Yeah, got amateur hour going on over here.
Hmm.
Figures the guy
Pains me.
with 100,000 or about to hit 100,000 subs has technical problems, but it's all good. We have the
Mhm.
full podcast panel back, and we have Austin Theriot. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. Good to be with you guys tonight. Glad we got the tire changed and we're back on the track.
Oh yeah, we,
I
we
like
didn't get
that.
the tire change. We had like the whole car
You
fixed,
brought the
basically.
backup car
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we went to the backup car.
Yes, went to the backup car, aka my channel, pretty much.
Feels like deja vu.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
man.
I think we made these people wait long enough, though. Why don't we just jump right on into it? Start talking about Southern 500.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So I don't know my thoughts on the Southern 500, dude. It was so hyped. Like it was even more hyped just because of the rain delay. It was under the lights, and I don't know, just like brought back the whole throwback feeling and stuff. And you got to see all the paint schemes in person now. Well, I had a couple friends from Follow the Lead podcast. That's the name of it, Follow the Lead podcast. They talked to me on Monday, and they were like, dude, if you ever go in person, man, like seeing the schemes on TV is great, but in person, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And they got like a ton of merchandise from there too. And I mean, the racing was good. That was like honestly one of the best Southern 500s I've ever seen, really, from a racing perspective. I mean, Darlington's a single groove track, so like I kind of expect it to sort of just be single file for most of the race, but it's weird. Like Darlington's like it's like that type of track where it's boring yet very exciting if you know how hard, how hard it is to manhandle these cars around those four turns at that historic track. So, we saw a ton of potential from William Byron. Jimmy Johnson was running up there, dude. He was running inside the top 5. Oh my gosh, and Marutz was almost about to make me eat my words because I was like, oh crap, he's coming up. He's coming up through the field. He might make the playoffs. And you saw a ton of playoff implications situations too. Ryan Newman getting dumped by Daniel Suarez, and now they're both tied entering, which we'll get to that later on. Also some bad luck too. Denny Hamlin looked like to me Hamlin was about to win this race. He always has a certain strategy. Him and his team, like he knows how to run 500 miles at Darlington, and got caught up in some lap traffic there, unfortunately. Him, Byron, and Johnson did. And Eric Jones, towards the end there, man. It was Eric Jones, Kyle Larson, and Kyle Busch duking it out for the win. But then after pit stops, it was just Jones and Busch. And I was like, okay, Busch is going to get him. Like Kyle Busch is every young gun's kryptonite. They can't ever beat him. They can't ever beat him, ever. And, Jones was able to hold him off there. And some fans were debating, well, the only reason he won was because of the dirty air and all that stuff. And I'm just like, okay. Like, come on, give the guy credit. Give the kid credit. Scored a second career win. I mean, he has a flair for winning these dramatic races. I mean, won the Coke Zero Sugar 400 in 2018. And then 2019 wins another big event, the Southern 500. And in his own throwback scheme, too, from his late model when he was like 14. So... he's the real deal. I think he's very underrated, and honestly, if you ask me, in my opinion, he deserved a much longer extension rather than just some 1-year extension. I'm thinking like 3, 4, 5-year extension. Like he's gonna be a future champion in the sport.
I mean, I still like, well, not to completely derail it, but I still do like the 1-year deal. And I'm an Eric Jones fan, but I like the 1-year deal because I think Joe Gibbs has a surplus of talent there, and he has all the power in making those decisions. He can put Kyle Busch on a 1-year deal if he wants. He has all the power there because everyone wants to be in those race cars. But yeah, talking about this race, I definitely would love to see this one in person. This is a race that the track it's fun. I think you said it right. It's one of the few tracks where I feel like it's still enjoyable to watch a guy just run single laps by himself at, because it is a challenging track. And we saw this weekend that they were actually able to move lower than we've ever seen them. They kept talking about in the NBC broadcast how people could run down on the apron on entry into turn 1. It's like that's typically not what you would do at this racetrack. So even just watching on TV, it was a ton of fun. But it's one I feel like you do get a much greater experience in person. If I had to guess, I've never been there, so I wouldn't know for sure. But if I had to guess, and the sellout crowd probably would back me up on that one as well.
Sold out too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Sold out.
I definitely believe, we just got back from the Bristol trip not too long ago. I think that within the next couple of years, that one needs to be on our list to try to get to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's on the bucket list for sure.
Now, I missed last week's episode, so you guys probably talked about this, but I also want to hear Austin's take. What was y'all's favorite throwback scheme from this weekend?
Well, it's hard to say. Before I give you my favorite, I thing I noticed about that whole weekend in general, because I was there on Saturday, I didn't make it out on Sunday, but it goes to show that the roots of the sport, continue to sort of drive where we are now, and having that event once a year, as a throwback, I think continues to perhaps maybe it'll re-engage some of the fans that we've lost, because there's a percentage of the fan base, and I know these people well because I used to watch races with them back in the early 2000s, and we've lost some of them, but now they're really paying attention because I think NASCAR's found a way to maybe find that balance between where we're going and where we've been, and that's just a weekend to remember it all, remember the past, remember why we are where we are today. And so in general, I think it's just a positive weekend. You said the sellout crowd, the fans engaged. Social media helps. It's like, in some ways we're we always blame social media for our problems, but the sort of engagement that we saw this weekend and from all the different paint schemes, it's also, one of the reasons that we should embrace social media, because this sort of content takes off on there. People remembering the past, bringing up old pictures, videos and content. It's
Nostalgia
amazing to
sells.
see. Yep.
Yeah, always, man. By the way, Austin, nice AirPod flex there too. They're saying in the chat, nice AirPod flex.
Yeah, I'm doing the one AirPod, so in case this one dies, then I'll put the other one in.
He's too good for two, guys. Too good for two. Really quick, C. Workman with the $1.99 super chat. Thanks, man. Says Larson has the 4th best average finish in the last 10 races. Is he peaking at the right time? Maybe, perhaps. I mean, he did end up finishing 3rd, I believe, this weekend.
He got second. He ended up second.
Oh yeah, that's right, because Kyle Busch. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical. Yeah, Larson's on a winless streak, man. Like, it's been so long. I mean, he
left in
did win
second
the
place.
All-Star race, but I mean, doesn't really count. So, Jarrett, what were your thoughts on the Southern 500?
Well, it's really funny because every year for the Southern 500, I have to watch it on my phone, which is how I also watch the chat, by the way. So I have to watch it on my phone because I'm at my fantasy draft. And it was actually really cool because as I'm watching it, I was watching on NASCAR.com's website. They're like a little live feed of it and stuff. And it was really good because you could see the whole pack racing throughout. It wasn't just focusing. I don't know how the NBC broadcast was until the last 40 laps. That's all I saw of that. But it was cool because you could see the whole pack, especially on restarts racing. And there was more 3 and 4 wide racing than I've ever seen at Darlington. The main host here, we all know that I'm not the biggest fan of this package, but I think it knocked it out of the park on this one. Mm-hmm. I think this track, honestly, it fit better on, even though it wasn't as exciting. I think it fit better on the majority of the mile and a halves just because of the amount of racing you could have throughout the pack. Dirty air is a problem. It's not going to be eliminated overnight. I also don't think that it's a reason, though, to take away from what Eric Jones did. I mean, he used the air to his advantage while being caught up in lap traffic, while having the best driver probably in the last 10 years chasing him down. He flat out earned it. I think he outdrove Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch drove his car so hard that he blew a tire at the end there. But I mean, even before that, and with him racing Larson, I personally think it's probably one of the best Southern 500s I've watched in a long time. I gave it a 9 out of 10, which I think might be high for a lot of people, but I thought it was a really good race. And
that is very high for you specifically.
Yeah. And I liked it because it felt like a mix of what we were looking for with this new kind of racing with this new package, but at the same time, there were a lot of comers and goers. It felt like an older Darlington race compared to some of them where like Goodyear has a tire that's, harder than a rock. I wasn't the only. I know there were a few people that were detracting from the race, but I don't think I was the only person who's not a fan of this package who really liked the race. Real Radman, I watched his stream afterwards, which is really good, by the way, to watch right after the race, and it was, he was a big fan of this race too. I'm just glad everybody's happy here. And even in the I am, and we're we don't have to talk too much about the damn package. I got so sick of it. Like we could make a drinking game on how many times we said the damn word. But I mean, even in the poll, which we'll look at later, people were pretty happy with this one.
I mean, I think by Kansas, we realized that this package in a night race condition, it's made for an overall good product.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
That sure could have played a factor.
Really quick, Adam Whitefish with the 99-cent super chat. It says CA. That's from Canada, right?
Canadian.
Oh, Canada! There we go. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. What does that translate over to US? 99 cents in Canada is how much here?
Look it up as you keep talking.
The same.
I thought you were going to ask, what does Canada translate to in America?
Yeah, I probably
Maple syrup.
Yeah,
they also speak English.
Yeah. We'll find out. While we're finding that out, Jarrett, what's on the agenda for tonight, man? We got a lot to talk about.
Oh, I was the guy looking up the money stuff, but I can look up the agenda too. If you want me to.
Here, y'all worry about some money. I got a question for Austin. Austin, I was looking here on your Twitter and realized that you were up in Bristol. We were all there. How did we not run into you at all?
You were at Bristol?
I was actually there on Sunday.
Oh man.
No,
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know how
season.
I don't know how we didn't run into you because we were literally all over the place.
I did, and I was waving to you guys, but that's what happens when you're too big for everybody else.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wait, where were you?
I was inside the track, walking around. Yeah.
You just blended in.
Yeah,
I did. There was a lot of people there. Can we have one last conversation about the package?
Sure. Go ahead.
Sure.
I wish there was a way that everybody could be like more objective about the package, and I feel like modern day society takes its toll on us because we want to have an opinion on everything. So somebody's pro package and anti this package and high downforce and low. It's like everybody goes to their sides. And when it really comes to evaluating the race, I think we have to take it, on a race-to-race basis, and just be objective about it, and kind of like leave your hardened opinion at the door. And I'm not sensing that here, but I think in general, as NASCAR fans, it would help us. It would help us attract new fans because we're working together and not against each other. And sometimes just giving things a chance to work themselves out is the right thing to do, rather than just kind of rush to judgment on whether something's good or bad. And so we're seeing that as the year goes through. We're like, yeah, there's certain tracks that you're able to be wide open. I mean, basically this package is like a truck series package, but on steroids. As somebody that's driven a truck before. And when I got in this type of race car at Pocono, I'm like, wow, this is even more dramatic than I thought as far as how much drag it has, and with the horsepower taken away, you drive it like a truck, but even more so than that. So I just think that we need to settle down sometimes and just realize that racing has changed so much over the years, and it's going to continue to change so much over the years. It's not the same as it was in the 60s. And if you look at racing in the 90s, it's not the same thing as it was in the 60s either. So things are just going to continue to evolve, and we need to realize that we need to work together if we're going to grow the sport.
And I think that same statement could be used in more than just terms of the racing product, but in a lot more aspects of the sport. I mean, as we're obviously proving here, YouTube, we're taking over there. There's greater forms of media for the sport to explore that hasn't been taken advantage of yet. This sport and all aspects of it is really changing.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, racing, in different eras, different generations was different, from each other, and certainly it's a lot different today compared to 20 years ago. So, like Austin said, hopefully let's just enjoy the racing and see what happens.
Really quick, I do want to ask because you were talking about how it's like sort of like the souped up version of the truck package, like trucks on steroids. Like, how does that I guess as a driver in the car feel like as you're like whether it's in the corners going down different straightaways in a pack on your own, like how is it sort of the feel of driving one of the cars or trucks in that regard?
Well, I suspect that on the previous package, the drivers had to be out of the throttle more, so you had more basically from your corner entry to your corner exit. There's a higher percentage of the time that you were off the throttle because the fact is the car has less drag, and when it has less drag, it's able to kind of maintain its speed in the air. And the truck series is the opposite. You have that bigger spoiler. The fact that the truck's kind of high, and so it's a higher drag package. And anytime you have drag, it's basically the wind pushing against the vehicle. And in order to keep your speed up, you have to stay in the throttle. So I think that's why people say it's aero tight. It's just because if you figure you're behind another vehicle and it's throwing so much air, throwing the air sideways, it's throwing the air up and down. So the closer you get to it, it's like you're in a vacuum and there's no air pushing down on the vehicle. The way I look at it is it's frustrating as heck for the driver if you're driving it. But the question I guess we're all asking ourselves is it can be really entertaining at times, and that's what we're noticing. And other times it's sort of like, well, was it any better? No, not necessarily. But there's some tracks where it's really sort of bringing the cars closer together because the fact is you're in the throttle, and if you can't get away from the car in front of you, the pack stays together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Good perspective from right there about the package, Austin. We appreciate that perspective.
Fresh out these cup cars, man.
Yes, pretty much. So, there's Eric. Yeah, Eric, you were like frozen for like 10 minutes there and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with everyone else's internet tonight, y'all, but bear with us though. Doing this little last minute stream over on Black Lives Matter though. So, just let us know in the chat if there's a few things we can change. But anyways, Austin, the last time you were here, you hadn't ran in the Cup Series, and you did most recently. Talk about that, man. I bet that was a blast.
Well, the exciting thing about making my Cup start at the first Cup start at Loudon was the fact that, and I tell this story a lot, as a kid, that's basically where I watched all the NASCAR races at, because my grandparents would take me there. We'd camp out for the week, just as fans. So I've raced there before in trucks and late models actually before then, and eventually, Xfinity, but realizing that you're down there on Sunday is it's just a cool experience. And I'm not trying to talk it up because it's, there's people that have made Cup starts before, but that was a special moment for me and my family and friends and stuff. And not knowing the fact that I was going to be racing more, like I didn't know at that particular point I was going to race Michigan or Pocono. That stuff came together later. So I'm like, hey, you need to make the best out of every opportunity. And I've known that in my career because, we've seen the ups and downs, and I've had opportunities that are once in a lifetime. And I've been in really kind of precarious situations where I didn't know if I was ever going to race again, within my control and a lot of it outside of my control. So it's one of the things that I'm never going to forget and take with me. I guess it's a life lesson, and I've learned so much over the past couple of years. But just making that Cup start was huge, and I think a lot of momentum came from that race. People don't see it. Like there's a lot of momentum that is building, and that's continues to build from that race, and it's going to carry me. I feel like through the rest of this year. We've got some exciting news coming up, and some more racing. Hopefully, talk about later. Maybe not in the show, but later on. The next couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm just basically spilling the beans now, saying that there's a lot of good things that are happening, and you'll see me quite a bit more this year. But like I said, this sport's all about momentum. We talk about it on the racetrack. Momentum in the race cars. You've got to keep your pace up, but you also got to realize that behind the scenes, drivers are constantly trying to keep the momentum up, getting rides and getting opportunities and getting sponsorship, and that's what it takes to be out there.
Yeah, I remember you talked about the last time you were on a few months ago, before you knew you were going to be in the Cup Series this year, that you talked about how important it was to a lot of drivers to get to the Cup Series because that really opens up a lot more opportunities and stuff. So, yeah, it's awesome to hear that it's continuing to develop. That's really cool.
I mean, is there like, a little, you want to tell us like a little bit of info or no? Just
Well,
gonna
I'm
stay
not.
quiet?
I'm not going to be running this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not going to be running
It's
this
Indy.
weekend. I'm
Yeah,
not
who
gonna be
cares?
running-
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not going to be
Indianapolis.
running Vegas.
Oh, man.
But you'll see me. You'll see me quite a bit more the rest of the year.
Oh, during the
We
playoffs.
look forward to seeing you on track, man.
Well, I appreciate it. It's a team sport for a reason, and I'm excited to bring a lot of people into the sport, and we brought people into the sport for the first time at Loudon. First time sponsors, and that's always good.
Mm-hmm.
The sport has a lot of potential. It really does. It's just like I said, we all got to work together, because if we're pulling from separate ends, and we're not accomplishing anything.
We've seen it firsthand. It's the importance of seat time and just that consistency, getting behind the wheel. Brian Vargas, who's a good friend of the podcast, he lost his K&N deal, but then he kept getting out in late model races, and now he's picked up 2 Xfinity Series starts and had a top 20 in all of those, and still continues to go out and run very competitively in super late models. And he's a perfect example, and just the importance of keep getting that seat time. And now, as you're saying, you made your Cup starts, and now you're getting some more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ryan's a great kid, young man. I guess we're all young men.
Young man.
He's somebody that pushes hard, and I'm always for, because I realize what I do, and I'm always for people like him that stand out because they push so hard, and they're willing to stay up late, or put extra thought into some sort of business opportunity to get themselves behind the wheel, or network harder than anybody else, because that's the stuff that gets you noticed.
Oh yeah, who isn't for an underdog? You know what I mean? Like, everyone's for an underdog. Including yourself as well, man. Like, you got a rabid fan base that continues to grow, and so does Ryan Vargas too.
Bristol was the perfect example of that. I'm sure, Austin, you were there now. What was your thoughts on Matt there at the end of that one?
Well, I'll tell you, I get more nervous watching races than I do actually racing, and I get nervous. Nervous isn't the right word, but like excited, and I can physically feel it. When your heart pumps, and your adrenaline starts going, because number one, you have an idea of what the person's going through behind the wheel. But like I said, like you said, everybody likes an underdog. So just realizing the fact that he had just gotten that news, and we know what it feels like to get the news that you're not going to be, included at a team again the next year because of whatever the reason is. He was laying it all out there, and I truly wanted him to win, because once again, I think he deserves it.
Oh yeah, right on, man. Yeah, we were there. We were like in the pit road area, and we were just so disappointed in Hamlin. Like, we were especially pissed when Newman wouldn't move the hell out of the way. But I don't know. That's typical Newman. It happens.
He has that reputation. I don't know him personally, and he's accomplished a lot. But I was actually sitting up in the grandstands in turn 3, and had a couple friends there, and we were looking at each other. We were like, what was that all about? and I didn't hear what the radio. I didn't hear anything that was going on the radio. I don't know what was said. There's a lot of things that could have not been said, and that's the reason that he drifted up. But I don't know. It's just better communication could have fixed that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you were only there for the Saturday race. You weren't there Thursday, Friday, correct?
No. I came in and came out, but I got caught in the parking lot and sat there for an hour after the race. But it was a good day.
Oh yeah. We were sitting in turn 4 for the Cup race. For the Xfinity race, we were sitting right on the front stretch, and for the truck race, that was the same as well. The truck race was a clown show, man. It was just hilarious, man. That 54, oh my god. Just see.
Dan's never gonna let that go.
I'm gonna leave that one in Bristol.
Oh man, yeah.
What happens at Bristol
You
stays
guys-
at Bristol.
Yeah, what happens at Bristol
We,
stays at Bristol, man. We've seen it all.
Real quick, we still got that poll for Darlington really quick. If y'all wanna be cool looking at that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, man. Put it up.
All right, time to share the screen. It's my daily poll or weekly. So I asked, what do you think about this year's Southern 500? 3.2 thousand of you voted. 53% of you thought it was great. 35 thought it was good. 9% said average. 2% below average, and 2% of you thought that this was a bad race.
Wow.
Dang.
So the net positive, 88%, not as high as Bristol, but it's pretty high up there. Beats a lot of the races that were earlier in the year. Actually, the net positive for this race beat the July Daytona race, which is surprising.
Really?
That race
yes.
is messy, so I
That
don't
was a
know.
messy one.
Well, let's go down here a little bit. Ooh, there is the core champion, Dale Reynolds. That dude named Dale says, solid and entertaining race with good action throughout. Best Darlington Gen 6 race, definitely. Voted great because the Darlington Throwback weekend has become a favorite of mine and putting the icing on the cake for my vote. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any delivers. Do you think NASCAR should have thrown the caution?
No.
Let him race.
No, just let him race. Let him race back.
I mean, Bush still ended up finishing third. It's not like he was stopped on the track. Come
Yeah,
on.
no.
Obviously, Kyle Busch thought that they should have thrown the caution.
Of
You know,
course.
Kyle Busch.
Let's see.
I can relate to Jason Jeffrey, who said, unfortunately, I fell asleep, and unfortunately, I did as well.
Oh yeah, the race didn't finish until like 2 a.m. Something like that. It was almost 2 o'clock.
And then what incarnation he says, raw gator dab, therefore his opinion does not matter. but by the way, best Darlington race I've ever seen live. It was a really good race. Let's see.
It was worth the wait.
We'll get a few more and then get the bottom one. Jones won. I'm so freaking happy.
I was happy.
Let's see. There it is, raw gator. It made me dab, if that accounts for anything. We'll leave that one in the past.
Come on.
Silver, here's one that said bad, terrible. I wanted Larson to win. I guess that's how I could understand people saying it's terrible if your favorite driver doesn't. I understand that. Being a Dale Jr. fan, I've thought many good races were terrible.
Yeah.
Same. Andrew Carter says, I fell asleep at the beginning of stage 2 and woke up to see Eric Jones in victory lane. But what I saw, I'd say was a good race. I think you were one of many, Andrew.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
That sounds pretty good. Mostly positive, then. You like to see it.
Let's see. That dud. I think you meant dude, but we'll just say it's dud.
That dud.
That dud says, love to see Eric win and Matt DiBenedetto top 10. So happy days for everyone. Or you hate to see those guys do good if you don't like them. Well, yeah, pretty much. Then going down, who's the final comment? Final comment is Angry Sim Racer. Says again, it was only great because Kyle Busch. Never mind.
No, that guy's a legend. That guy's a legend in the comments, man.
Yeah, no, he is. I thought that we'd have something good, but I didn't think it would be that good.
Oh,
so thank you guys for voting again. 3.2 thousand of you, almost hitting the record. We can probably get that by the end of the year, though.
Oh yeah,
so
no doubt.
thank you guys.
No doubt about it. Absolutely. And also, just a quick note. Yeah, Kyle Busch did win the regular season championship. He clinched it, but it means absolutely nothing, really, honestly.
It gives you like 15 points, right? Is it just for the first round, or is it for the whole playoff?
It would mean more if they gave them a bye week, just like first round bye for the first round. That's it.
You don't have to show up to Vegas or whatever first.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You just take the week off.
Yeah, just take the week off, basically. Take the next 3 races off, man. Something like that.
I don't know if that would work, but
I don't know. We'll see.
I kind of wanted to ask you guys because I've seen some people mention it and elsewhere, and I don't know how seriously people are taking it, but they designated Darlington as being like the throwback race weekend. But I wonder, do you guys feel like it would make sense to move the throwback to another race, perhaps one that like still has some history, still has some meaning, but one that people don't really look forward to? Because I feel like people already look forward to Darlington because it's a crown jewel race, because it's the Southern 500, because it's a challenging track. Does anyone here? Because I personally think I like the throwbacks at Darlington. I think honestly this race didn't have as much respect as it deserved until they made it the throwback weekend. Now people are actually paying attention to it. But I've seen some people argue that maybe they should move it to a track like a New Hampshire or another track that people don't really look forward to kind of help lighten that up. I don't know what you guys' opinion is. So most people in the chat are saying no, and I agree. For
Don't
most.
ask this to Dale Reynolds. I'll say it should move to Pocono. No, don't touch it. I think we made this mistake before. Don't touch it.
I think Darlington just works too perfectly. The only two tracks to my knowledge that would really work well would be the night race at Bristol or now the night race at Martinsville. Like keep it a night race at one of those classic tracks,
Hell no! Don't touch touch it. Baby. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Come on.
I feel like if you were to move it somewhere, I'd move it to Richmond. But I agree with you guys. I think keep it at Darlington. Yeah. It's done wonders for that race.
Yes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. We all love it at Darlington, man. Just keep it there, dude. So any other topics? Let's move on now.
Well, we can keep talking about Darlington in the future.
Oh yeah, that's right. The future. That's right. So it was announced.
What you gonna say, Danny?
I was gonna ask our guest something here because he's on the subject of throwbacks. Austin, if you could run any throwback, which one would you run?
Ooh,
that's a tough question.
Well,
there he is.
Probably run one of the Mark Martin paint schemes from the 90s. Yeah, but going back, giving a little feedback, I feel like if they took it away from Darlington, it would lose some steam. I feel like it would take a few years to build back up somewhere else. I think in that particular region of the country, you have excitement, and you know that it's going to be packed. There's going to be fans that are going to show up. And the South has always been a really important market for NASCAR. We can be honest about that. It's expanded, but it's like you go back to your roots, and I think we have to. I think there's a risk if we moved it.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. It wouldn't have the same pizzazz and the same hype around it if you move it to New Hampshire. No offense to your home track, but no, keep the throwback race at
exactly
at Darlington. Keep it there, man. All right, really quick, guys. 169 people watching. Nice. Only 63 likes. Make sure to lick the like button. And staying on the topic with Darlington, it was announced today that NASCAR is considering for the throwback theme for next season in 2020 to be dating back and basically running paint schemes from only the 40s and 50s. That's interesting. Jarrett, I know you're all for this, but elaborate on it a little bit more.
I would absolutely love this. I like simple. The simple, the better, in my opinion, with paint schemes. Simple. Yeah. Simple. You get it. Yeah. There's a reason that the red 8 is iconic. The black 3, the petty blue 43, the Wood Brothers 21. I love all of those schemes, and they're all very simple. And that's one thing that looking back, you can have very simple schemes from back then because they really didn't have all the same stuff that they had now. But on top of that, I've kind of over the summer gotten a little bit into looking back at the past and old school stuff. I got into Peaky Blinders, so that's a little further past that, 20s and 30s. But have been listening to sort of more 40s and 50s kind of music too. And there's this awesome channel, Postmodern Jukebox, to make modern day songs like those. But I had actually talked about this with the guys before the show. If they go to a 40s and 50s throwback weekend, no joke, I'm saying it here live right now, I'll go down there that weekend and I will be dressed like a fan in the 40s, full suit and tie and hat and everything. I will do it.
Oh
I swear, I would be all for
You're going to be a sweaty mess.
The Monopoly mustache.
Ooh, yeah.
No.
But yeah, I am all for this, and I think that's an era that needs a lot more light put upon it, and a lot more propped up a bit more. A lot of people don't really look that far into the past, especially I've noticed even on YouTube, especially and on social media. But those guys, they basically just like took their car and raced with it. They didn't have any safety. involved. Like safety was a non-issue. It was like Slap said in his recent video. It's like you'd be lucky if they put like a crappy guardrail or some wood fencing around back then.
Yeah.
And I think those guys they need to be shouted out more because those guys. I don't know how they could have walked around those tracks with what they were carrying.
They were
daredevils. Back then they went to their local Danny B at the car dealership, bought whatever they could, and just started working on it until it was ready.
Yeah, pretty much just revamped like whatever car they could get their hands on, man. I don't know if Austin would prefer racing in that era, but
they put the stock in stock car, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, the real question is, though, I mean, I know NASCAR, like, so if NASCAR announces, like, yeah, this is the theme, are the teams actually gonna, run these teams? Like, probably not.
They never do.
Yeah, they never do. They just do their own thing, too. I wonder if, like, NASCAR is gonna eventually start, like, finding teams for, like, not having the right paint schemes. Like, that would be the most NASCAR thing to ever happen.
You gotta get them to all do the throwback before you can find them for not doing the throwback theme.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want us to do 40s and 50s? Well, I mean, we were going to do another Rusty Wallace game here at Penske Racing.
Let's do
it. I want to throw back to a champion I'm still racing against right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Joey Logano. Yeah, I wear the fire suit of the family.
To be fair, that was one of my favorites of the weekend.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was pretty.
It was. It was just a little. I mean, it was a little bit different. I guess is putting it lightly. Throwing it back to a current driver. You know what I mean?
Bubba Wallace, he won Best in Show. However, I did vote for Landon Castles. I did love that Coors Light throwback just a little bit more.
Yes, good season, silver bullet, 2001 to 2002. I mean, not only did Sterling Marlin win in that car, but Jamie McMurray pulled off an upset in 2002 at Charlotte. So,
I just like being able to see that car under the lights in HD because I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there was many HD racing going on back in Sterling Marlin's day. So to see the neon like red light up with that car, I liked it when I first saw it, but that jumped up a couple spots after I saw it actually in the race. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, and since I just saw Michael Marutz in the chat, Jimmy Johnson's scheme was pretty good. I like that one to his 95 off-road car. I said it wrong again. Roots. Sorry. I don't do this on purpose. I'm sorry, Roots. It's so odd. It's so awkward. Michael Marutz is in the chat. And yeah, I'd say Jimmy Johnson's scheme was one of the best ever.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying they should just make that the permanent ally car. Honestly, it would look kind of cool.
I'm on that train.
I don't. Yeah, I like the current scheme they have now though. I like the little, the letters popping out and all that stuff on the hood and on the side.
It looks fine. There's a lot of people don't like it still. I'm surprised. A lot of people have not come around on it. I don't know.
Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, let's talk about the playoffs now. The playoff bubble. It's very close to say the least. I don't know if I can't pull up the points right now because I'm running the Hangouts, but
I'll just read it off.
Yeah, just read it off. Read off just the final spots, like just the final. I'd say 15th through 18th are the only.
I got 14th. I got 14th through 18th right here.
Go ahead.
Eric Almirola is plus 57. He literally needs to finish 33rd or higher, or have Suarez or Newman score less than 17 stage points. I think he's got it.
He's got it.
Boyer is plus 8 over the cutoff. Suarez is plus 0. So him and Newman are tied. And then Jimmy Johnson minus 18. All else is irrelevant, but winning for the rest. So I guess, what do y'all think?
Man, let me tell you something, man. This is about to be so hype. I mean, I know we're going to Indianapolis. I know. So, I'm not really looking forward to that, to, the racing there. Maybe the package might do wonders for it. I don't know. But, history says no, not really. But, seeing this whole, playoff, cut line unfold, the past couple of races has been really intense. I figured Johnson was oh, okay, Johnson's going to, maybe point his way in, after, just off of this one performance, maybe. Maybe he'll get inside the cut line, but unfortunately was involved in that crash and is now 18 points below. So he's more than likely going to need a lot of luck on his side, or he'll just have to win the whole thing. And then, Newman and Suarez, this is a perfect scenario for NASCAR, because Suarez dumped Newman during the race. So, and then, the next race just so happens to be the final one of the regular season. And they're both tied on points, trying to make it into the final cut line spot, which is really, the final cut line spot is basically, the final mediocre spot because, I mean, you don't have to be good to make the, the NASCAR playoffs these days. You can just have a mediocre season, just be, do the bare minimum and get that final 16th spot. So this is the battle to see who's the most mediocre driver in NASCAR right now. So Newman versus Suarez. What a battle that's going to be. And then, Clint Boyer, too. He's still, he's below the cut line as well. Clint Boyer's, how many points did you say he's below again?
Boyer's
He's
up 8.
Up 8.
Oh, he's up 8. Okay, all right. So, yeah, Boyer's in right now. So, I mean, he can still fall out, too. So, it's going to be one epic battle. I don't know. That's probably the most exciting thing all weekend because, it's Indianapolis. So, there's not much to look forward to, unfortunately.
No, it's nice to see a good close points battle between a lot of very different drivers and very different personalities. You got veterans, up there, but then you got the young guy Suarez, he's got to make the playoffs one of these years, or else people are just going to continue to give up on him. You got Boyer, who may or may not actually be in a contract year, so you got that drama. You got Jimmy Johnson, who's continually having to tell people that he's still good, even though he's not getting the finishes. And then you got Newman, who everybody hates right now, and he's just out there doing his thing every week, chugging along 14th, 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 14th. So it's a great battle. It's a great bubble. It's going to be really fun to watch. I think the Newman Suarez is going to be nuts because we've seen Newman will do just about anything to advance. He wrecked Larson in 2014, and he didn't even have anything against Larson. He just wrecked him to make sure he made it into the championship 4. But then with Jimmy Johnson, too, he's 18 points out, basically almost pretty much in a must-win scenario in a lot of ways. Casey Kane in 2017 made the playoffs despite having a mediocre season by winning at Indianapolis. So Hendrick has done it in the past, so don't count him out entirely. There's a lot of exciting things to watch, even if the racing itself isn't that thrilling. I think the playoff bubble is going to be fun. And I'll be honest, you talked about how these guys are mediocre. Sure, Suarez isn't going to win the championship. Newman's probably not going to win the championship. But keep an eye on a guy like Clint Boyer or even Jimmy Johnson. I don't think Jimmy Johnson's going to win the championship, but you never know. Hendrick Motorsports, they got on a hot streak earlier this year. If they can turn it back on later once the playoffs start. Tony Stewart was 10th, 12th or something like that in 2011 when the playoffs started. He got on a hot streak and won the championship. I wouldn't rule it out entirely. I think this current playoff format means that a guy 12th or 13th on the playoff grid can win a championship. But I get what you're saying, but it's going to be fun. I think that's going to be the most fun part to watch in this entire race. But I'll be curious to know who do you guys actually think will make it? And do you think Boyer and Suarez will hold on?
Well, on that note you were just saying there, Eric, you can't count out any of those guys in the very bottom. I'm pulled back up to 2014 NASCAR chase grid. Newman was the guy who just made it in that year,
and he finished second. So it can happen. It's unlikely, but it can happen. A 16 seed rarely beats a 1, or I think they've only beat a 1 seed once, right?
In the NCAA tournament. Yeah, one
it
time
almost never happens, but it has happened. So
yeah. It just so happened to happen the first time in the playoffs, in the playoff era for NASCAR, from 2014 to now, with the whole elimination brackets and stuff.
It's crazy actually looking back at this grid because Earnhardt was 3rd going into that one, and then he went out in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Well,
Newman, Boyer, and Suarez can't afford to be as aggressive, I feel like, as Johnson. Because Johnson's a little farther out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but based off the points, Johnson's got to be real aggressive here, and basically put it in victory lane. Because I don't see that many. I just don't see mechanical issues. There's going to have to be some sort of wreck for him to get in, and so he's got to put it in victory lane where Boyer could probably be conservative. And then, the battle between Newman and Suarez it's going to be tough.
And let's not forget even
Johnson knows how to win here.
Newman and Boyer even have beef. They threw punches at the All-Star race. So it's crazy that all these guys pretty much have something out for each other,
Oh, yeah. No, it's about to be epic. Hopefully, did I just say that? Indianapolis is about to be epic. Oh my God! What is wrong?
You said this is about to be epic. You didn't say Indianapolis.
You were literally saying 30 minutes ago, "Oh, who cares? It's Indianapolis."
No, I'm just talking about the playoff fight, though. That's the only entertaining thing. So that's about to be epic.
Never forgets, man.
Yeah.
The internet never forgets. Best for the playoff bracket. I'm looking at. We all know Almirola is going to make it. He basically has to start up, and it'll be good. But I look at Boyer, Suarez, Newman, and Johnson. I do think Johnson, I don't think that team is fast enough right now to get the needed stage points to make it up for the second half of the race and make it just a points race. I think he does have to win it. I think he will have to be more aggressive, like you said, man. And that leaves it to Boyer, Suarez, and Newman. I don't think Johnson's going to win personally.
Do you think?
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Do you guys think there's any drivers outside the top 16 that could win this thing?
No.
Paul Menard won here before.
No.
Matt Benedetto's had a couple great weeks in a row.
Right now.
No,
there isn't.
It's
done.
Hold on.
It's
hold
over.
on. No, hold on. Indianapolis is a track that has a lot of fuel mileage finishes. Has had a lot of strategic races in their past. So I'd say for someone like Matt Benedetto or Chris Buescher is running 6th to 10th. I mean, realistically, they could use strategy to get there. Now, I think with stage racing, I think a lot of that goes away personally, and I don't think that's going to happen. As for me, I would say I'm picking Almirola for sure. I think Suarez is good enough here and with this package. And then from there, I'd go. I'm gonna go Newman over Boyer. I think Boyer's on too much of a slide over these past few months, and Newman seems always coming clutch with these deals.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. So really, some two really quick super chats. Corvette Racing 48 with the $5 super chat. Thanks, man. Says playoffs should be shortened to 12 drivers for Cup and 10 for Xfinity. I mean, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, that would be a very interesting change. And the Black Hole guy, can't get over that name, with the $5 super chat. Thanks, man. Says congratulations to Kyle Busch for locking down the regular season championship and those 15 bonus playoff points. Hashtag anyone but Logano. See, Rusty Walrus's saying is anyone but Hamlin, anyone but the 11 actually. So yeah, that's the first time I've seen anyone but Logano. So.
Did they see? I didn't watch much of post race, but did they give Kyle Busch that regular season trophy or whatever?
No, they haven't yet. They're going to give it to him this weekend. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
They're going to give it to him this weekend, man. So I mean, Austin. Again, what are your thoughts, man? Is there anyone below? Is there anyone below 18th or below that you'd see maybe pulling off an upset victory here?
It would really surprise me. I think the cream rises to the top, and it shows in points. It's hard to say what the racing is going to be like with this package. I would say that I wouldn't want to be the leader. I wouldn't want to be the leader going into the final laps, because I feel like the runs are going to come from behind, and there's a chance to block, and there's also a chance to wreck. And if your opportunity to make it to the playoffs is, if you've got several drivers there racing in the top 5, I think all bets are off. And so I just don't see anybody coming from behind the top 16, and I guess possibly Matt could be like a wild card. They've got speed and they've shown it lately, but I would bet against it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, we'll see what happens. And really quick chat. I have my laptop in the background here. I am about to send the invite to Zane from 704 Games. He will be discussing the NASCAR Heat 4 series. He just told me to send it. And if we want to really quick, Jarrett, you want to do the lightning round for us really quick? We are at the top of the hour, so.
Yeah, hold on. Apparently I'm pixelating, so I'll just go profile for a minute.
Literally everyone has been pixelating the stream but me. I don't know. And then Austin's back up.
No, you're definitely pixelating on my end.
Oh, what's the the chat? Yeah, it's a YouTube thing. It's a Hangouts thing, I think. Yeah, it's a Hangouts thing. Anyway,
I guess we can do lightning round. So
go ahead.
Netflix has a NASCAR comedy starring Kevin James coming out. It's called The Crew. So keep an eye out for that one. Don't take life too seriously. Voting has opened up for the most popular driver award. So congratulations to Chase Elliott already.
Congrats,
that is also sponsored by Hooters, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
It's rigged. It's all rigged.
Yeah.
They knew what they were signing up for when they decided to sponsor it, though.
Anyway, so from there, Darlington, it was sold out. If you hadn't heard already. Blink of an eye, the documentary about Michael Waltrip and his 2001 perspective of the Daytona 500 and everything around that is coming out next week, September 12th. So be sure to look out for that one. I think it's going to be in a few hundred theaters around the country.
900.
900. So yeah, I know earlier in the year I saw 3, but yeah, 900. And then also something I want to really shout out here. Shout out to Clint Boyer, Rick Allen, and Steve Phelps. They were all in the stands during the rain delay with fans talking to them and stuff. So I know all those guys get a lot of crap from people, but they deserve an attaboy there. That was really cool of them. Dale Jr., after the Xfinity race, which he ended up finishing 5th thanks to Hamlin, he basically was a straightforward, put it right to everybody. 1 race a year, not changing that. So he's not coming back. Get over it, people. Hamlin, speaking of Hamlin, he lost the Xfinity race after inspection. The inspection gods were prayed to, but not by Hamlin and his supporters.
Yeah.
Cole Custer's were probably the ones praying to him, and they won. Cole Custer got the win. Indianapolis, I know we had ragged on them last week for only 13,000 seats being sold so far. We can get into this a little bit later. So far, it's expected. Ooh, as we have an explosion in the background.
Trouble, turn 3.
Okay, thank you. Expecting 50,000, which is amazing for a lot of tracks like Darlington, for instance, but sucks for Indy. Also with the lightning round, it sounds like Barstool Sports, not Storts, Darian, wants to sponsor Matt Benedetto for a little bit more than just this year, more of a long-term thing, if he can get a ride nailed down. So best of luck to him. And then finishing it off for probably our younger viewers in the audience, Richmond Raceway will be promoting Nickelodeon's TV show Paw Patrol later this month. So if you're a younger fan and you're a fan of that show, there you go. If you're going to Richmond, you got something there for you. But that's all it for the lightning round.
One thing you may have missed there, Jarrett, and this may have an effect on that Matt Benedetto situation. There's a report going around that things are not too certain at Germain Racing on who will drive their car next year.
We're going to actually get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later, but this is a perfect segue into our next topic. NASCAR Heat 4, everyone. 704 Games is set to release NASCAR Heat 4 next Friday. And if you pre-ordered it, I think you get it Wednesday, I believe. But we have Zane from 704 Games here to talk about it. He's muted right now. There you go.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going? He's in the complete dark right now, but it's okay. We can hear.
Wait, is there a camera? Like, is there a camera popping up on me? There shouldn't be. Oh God.
Oh no,
is
no,
it
no.
all darkness? Oh, okay.
It's just eternal darkness, basically. But no, we can hear you just fine. Nah,
from the void of my room. No, I'm doing great. Actually, the game comes out for gold members on September 10th, which is Tuesday.
All right, that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. Yeah, there's been a lot of hype over this game, and the one thing I have to say about this, and I'll be honest here, 704 Games, when they were way back when they were Dewsbury Martin, there was a lot of hype built around NASCAR Heat Evolution. Ooh, I'm just gonna leave it there. But then progressively as the years went on with NASCAR Heat 2 and Heat 3. The game has gotten better, little by little. So Heat 4, to me, is looking like it is going to be the best installment out of the 4. I don't know, just give us a bit of a backdrop to the changes and, the new features in NASCAR Heat 4.
Yeah, and first off, I just want to get it clear because a lot of people ask, hey, who are you? What do you do? I'm Zane. I go by Zane the Bearded One. I'm the community manager and eSports manager at 704 Games, so I manage the Pro League and the awesome community of NASCAR Heat. So to get that the official stuff out of the way, the changes really is, as a fan of the game, it's corely changed with the driving mechanics, the driving model, and just how it handles. You now see the tire wear. The tire wear is really effective. The new way that you race isn't how you raced in 3, where you could just worry about fuel mileage and throwing the car in there. Now you got to worry about how much am I wearing that car out? How much am I actually wearing the tires, the fuel? Can I make a long run? Do I want to short pit? Do I want a long pit? It all comes into play now, and it changes the actual thought process of how you race from online to single player with the AI dynamic changes of how they have now multiple groups they look for, the difficulty where they'll now choose to work with you or not work with you at plate tracks. It changes everything from 3 to 4. And it's really like, I always say it's hard to explain until you get your hands on it. And within a couple of days, a lot of people are going to get to feel those changes and see them, and they've watched it in some of the videos. But it's just a totally overhaul of what you saw in 3 to 4 with the graphics, the sound. Like, the sound is still probably my favorite part. I now turn the audio, the crowd off, just so I have full engine and listen to the gloriness of the new sounds for the engines.
Yeah, I can't wait once I get my hands on it to hear those engines, man. But I guess another question I have is, talk about the, I guess I would say the 2 versions of the game you can get. There's a regular version, and then there's a Jeff Gordon version to it.
Yeah, so you got the standard edition, which has got Stuart Haas on the cover of Kevin Harvick, our cover athlete, and Tony Stewart, Smoke. And that comes with just the base game that releases on Friday, September 13th. Then you have the Gold Edition, which is the Jeff Gordon Gold Edition. That comes with 3 days early access starting on Tuesday, September 10th. You'll get access to that. You also get the season pass that's included to it, so you don't have to worry about buying the season pass. That's already part of it. So all the DLC that comes out up to the next year update, as we've always done, that yearly update that you get, like 2020, we saw you had to pay for that one. That's not part of that season pass process, but every DLC through the season, you're going to get Jeff Gordon's paint scheme. You're also going to get the legendary scheme that we showed off with his Exalta last ride at Homestead. So any gold members will have access to that. As a make good as well, we've also added in Stuart Haas scheme for the fans. It's their fan zone scheme, which will be on Harvick's car. And it was because of the situation that came up with the steel box where the manufacturer couldn't create that one for us because they had a larger order. We went to a different box and we said, you know what, at least we'll give you another paint scheme. We want to give back some way. And the best way we could in such a quick notice was getting a new scheme in there that was for free for anyone who actually purchased that. So you'll get that right off the rip. And then for pre-order holders, Martinsville at night. Martinsville under the lights. Like, if you pre-order the game, you get to play it day one. The best part about Martinsville under the lights is you can race it on single player and online.
Ooh, that's gonna be badass there, man. Especially for the core league too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just listening.
No, man. No, it's all good.
Okay. So Darian and Darian got there ahead of me. I was gonna shamelessly plug into the core league again. So I guess one thing that all of us here are really looking at is stuff for league racing online. I guess what features and what certain things have been added in that make it easier or add to people who are doing leagues online with Heat 4.
Yeah. So there's not a league system in place this year. So I know that's a big call for all people. Like, hey, we want a really flushed out league system where we can run and manage our own leagues. It's not in 4. We've added such a new ability in hosted races. When you run your leagues in hosted lobbies, you can now pause the countdown timer.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my! I didn't know that.
Were you expecting that reaction, Zane?
Yes, I'm so happy.
I kind of feel like someone paid him off for me a little bit, and I owe someone a case of beer.
Darian, that seems forced. You have
no. You have no idea how hard it is to set up these Heat lobbies.
When you try to get 15 to 20 people in, and they're like, "Hey man, I need 2 seconds," you're like, "You got 60."
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Darian, I'm being told by the producers I didn't like that take. We got to redo it, okay?
Okay, all right. No.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Let's just do it live. We're good.
We'll do it live.
Joke's on you. It's all live.
Yeah, it's all live.
Yes. So the other part I would add on top of the being able to pause the lobby system is any track, any series. It works online. So now you can make up this fantasy series you want to run in Cup, Xfinity, and Truck, sans the Dirt series. So if you want to take trucks to Roval, you got it, right? If you want to take Cup cars to Mid-Ohio, Road America, you got it. If you want to take them, like I want to do Gateway in Iowa, I want to take Cup cars there. Like you have it. The best thing, and this is an exclusive for you guys, and no one knows about it, so this is the first time we're talking about it at all.
Ooh.
In the paint booth, you now have custom numbers.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
So if you're a league, you can now have your drivers say what number you want to be. I want to be the 00. I want to be the 07. I want to be the 7. I want to be the 1. You now have that ability from double knot to 99.
Nice.
So I know there's guys out there who's always wanted that, and there's been people who's like, I don't want to drive Ty Dillon. I like Ty Dillon, but he's not my driver, but I want to run the 13 car.
Mm-hmm.
You got that ability to do it there now.
Now, really quick, talk about the process of getting that together. I know you had to go through a ton of hoops to, just say even, have that feature in.
it was a passion of mine as a guy who's been a fan of the game. I've wanted that into the game, even from like the original like early NASCAR Heat series. And when I came in, it was an initiative of the communities. I said, you know what, we got to find a way to get custom numbers. So my first ask was, can we get like 99 to 199? Like I will compromise for triple numbers. I think a lot of the community would, if they can just have a custom number that represents who they are, the way when they race online or they're racing their leagues. That was like, you know what, we think we might. Let's take a look at it. And a couple weeks later, I was like, hey, what's going on with this? And they're like, you know what, just see if we can get 00 to 99. So we reached out to NASCAR. We explained the situation, and they were very receptive to it. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we'll help you out. We'll get you the fonts and everything you need. We'll get those numbers. So NASCAR came in and leaned in and said, you know what? Yeah, we'll help out and get this to the community. So it was a partnership, a relationship with us and NASCAR to get that in. And I think that's the best part is if you're really a fan of NASCAR, you know NASCAR is all built off relationships. And that's the great thing to say, hey, your community, your fan base really wants this to represent themselves. And they go, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
What do we got to do?
Yeah. What do you got to lose, man? That is good. Awesome. That is good to hear. Let's see. Any more questions from you three?
This is a weird question just because I know, with the success of the Pro League, do fans have the ability to even, race at some of the schemes that they saw in the Pro League at all?
Not at the moment. There is conversations, and that is something that I think is really interesting. Is I don't want to sound ham when I say it, but Sloppy Nation. Mm-hmm. There's guys out in Sloppy Nation who want to drive a Sloppy Joe in his schemes. There's other guys who want to drive as the Bolt or maybe Go Fast Matt or Dohar on Xbox side. So it's really that question of how to do it. Can we implement it? Do we put them in as their own series and their own drivers? So now you race as them. And look, yes. That's the simple answer is yes, right? And then the other part is, or do you add them on as their own paint schemes to the already existing teams? So it's those questions you have to ask. And that really it comes down to the community. If the community wants it, they just have to make their voice heard and say, hey, yeah, this is something we want, or no, we don't. Because it's really up to you guys. You guys are the ones racing it every week in, week out, day in, day out.
Yes, everyone spam yes in the chat. And also hashtag Sloppy Nation. Go ahead.
We need a compromise just where we can do the custom numbers on the quarter panel. So
there we go.
Blur the lines.
See, and that's where I feel the hate mail coming in right there. Don't you dare put numbers on quarter panels. And then I'm like, did you? But I'm like, IROC, did you not? But you loved IROC, and the court numbers were on quarter panel.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's right.
Yeah.
People who like IndyCar, you got a small number on the wing back there. I mean,
IndyCar's some good racing though too.
I see in the chat really quick, Corvette Racing 48, $2 super chat. He asked, "Are you guys going to add a paint booth?" That's a big question they got.
Not this year. There is no paint booth. It's still the same paint booth as last year. I talked about this when I was on with Jeff Aviano with him. It is just the same paint booth, but we've added more schemes, more customization to it. You can now rotate the car completely around 360 degrees when you're painting it and designing it with your colors and your sponsors. Long day, tongue-tied. On top of that, we've added more sponsors to it. So now, like, you can have Hooters on the side of your car if you wanted. Gatorade is a popular one for some of the guys. I'm actually I like to throw back a Valvoline throwback car I'm trying to design with the templates and the Valvoline sponsorship. So it's got that plus the custom numbers. It's baby steps, but I can tell you the team is looking at how to do a really good paint booth, but also make sure it's done right. And it takes time. And I know the community's like, well, this is the fourth game. It should be in there now. It really takes time to put that. Look at Forza and the time it takes for them to put something like that. You can even give an example of like F1 doesn't have really a custom paint booth. It's still templates. And then Project Cars, there is no custom paint booth. It's all template based schemes as well. So it does take time to really build a system that the community is going to like, and also it's not going to be abused.
I will say the paint booth I always really loved in NASCAR games was, sadly, their last installment was what they did with NASCAR 09 when they did exactly what iRacing and NR 2003 did, and you could just design it on Photoshop. I love that. You could literally do whatever you want to. I know that's a hard system to do though, so I'm not like begging for it, but that's what I always loved.
And that's been talked about. Like those conversations have come up where it's like, do we go that way where it's like the old school EA days where you put a template together, you upload it to a server, and then you pull it down. The question is, how do you build the technology to do it and how to do it right where it doesn't affect your base gameplay and it doesn't affect, your online play because you're over maximizing your servers because you have 600,000 uploads of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s AC Delco scheme and the next thing you know, it's bogging stuff down. It comes down to give and balance, and it's one of those things the teams are looking at. Those are conversations that are happening. So I agree with you as an NR 2003 guy. Like that's the easiest way to do it. Let me paint something real quick, put it up, and then I'm good.
Got some 2 fan questions. Wasick with the $2 super chat. His question is sales numbers for the Heat games. I don't really think Zane can give out that information. I believe that's
I don't even know, man. Like that's before my time.
Yeah.
So I've been with the company for 7 months now. Anthem was my last game with EA, and I started 2 days after that. So yeah, about 7 months at this point. Those are just questions I didn't ask coming in because I was a fan of the series already. So I felt it was a conflict of interest to be like, hey, the game I played all the time, how many did it really sell? But the goal is to sell as many games as possible, but also to grow and build a great community. So it's once again, it's like I get that question, but I just don't have the answer for you, man.
Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of copies are sold because at any given time, it don't matter what time it is, you can usually get on multiplayer and you find plenty of lobbies out there. So there's plenty of people buying the game.
Oh yeah, and PlayStation hit over 1 million races on NASCAR Heat 3, I think 4 months ago, and I think Xbox just hit 1 million races within the past 2 months, 2.5 months. I could be off on my dates, but I think they both just hit 1 million races within the last couple of months. So there's a lot of people still playing it.
And the next question I have, C. Workman with the $1.99.
Workman, what up?
Yes, C. Workman, yes. I knew Zane would know him. This question is improvements to online spectating and leaderboard?
In what sense of leaderboard, I guess? Like it now still shows your leaderboard. You still have your World Challenge boards, like your weekly challenges that you did before in NASCAR Heat 3. But I guess it would ask more of a hit me up later, bro. We'll talk. Like, give me some more details.
I think he means
I know what he
online,
means.
like online.
Oh, so like
spectating.
the pro.
For example, okay.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say because when we did core, what we would have to do first, whoever was commentating would be in spectate mode, and it just shows like what person is
okay.
what
So he's
car.
asking for like position and lap counts.
Yes.
In the ticker.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So currently, right now, it doesn't have that, but it is something I'm pushing for. But the ticker has been cleaned up dramatically. It now shows the cars, and when you go through the ticker, it's in order of the car positions on tracks. The hard part, though, there is no numbers solidifying what lap count you're on or what position they really are with their pace. Like if they're side by side or in a group, it's a little difficult. Or lap down, so it's difficult. That is an ask of mine in the communities that I've been asking to put in. Once again, comes down to time. Like, how do we put it in there right? How do we make sure it fits? It syncs up correctly with the players on lines. So it is stuff we've asked for. And I know a lot of guys are like, hey, can we have what you do for the Pro League, that Pro League ticker? I believe me, I know. I think it would be great for a lot of leagues. And there's Frozen Toes on Xbox, who's a commentator. Believe me, if I could hook her up with the tool today to give her the ability to do so, I would, but it's just well above my pay grade, and I really like my job.
Don't want to risk it. No, I understand.
Yeah, but now I understand. I thought he meant like actual leaderboards, like lobby leaderboards, but in the spectator mode, I understand what you're saying.
Right, absolutely. Thanks for answering that question. I guess the final question I have is, you're with 704 Games, and you've really ventured out to the NASCAR YouTube community in sort of a partnership. Including myself and other NASCAR YouTubers, kind of explain in detail, how that came about, and I don't know, what are your thoughts on it now that the game's about to be released?
I think really, it's my first time in this position of rolling this kind of thing, and a lot of the guys that are part of this program and part of the team, as I like to say, and it's so cliche because I think NASCAR is all about team-based racing, and it is team-based, like from the pit crew to the crew chief to the driver. But I think the same thing as us as a team is the guys I picked are the guys who make really good content and I enjoy, and they're analytical and I'm actually a fan of. And it doesn't mean it like the guy who's got 500 viewers right now won't make to that point. That's like, man, he'll never want to let me get the game early access. It's just make great content, go out there and be passionate and put out the grind and make good videos. Don't make, I always like to say quality over quantity. Like you can put out 500 videos, but if there's no real good passion or stories or concepts behind it, it's not worth it. Same thing with the NASCAR videos and NASCAR communities. There's a lot of guys out there who tell great stories, who give you insights on drivers and parts of NASCAR you never really thought about. Like, I'll be honest, I went back and watched the Brian France Jr. Failure of NASCAR event. Yeah, dude, I busted it. So somebody was like, "Hey, who's Brian France?" I was like, "Sit down, son. Let me put on a video of YouTube real quick." And I put that video on, and he was like, "Wow, okay." So that was my explanation of who that guy was. So he had a quick Cliff Notes version. There's other guys in the community who make great career videos of where I sit down and will binge watch their grind from the lowest team to hopefully a middle tier to top team. There's guys who do go out there and who hunt for news and look for the inside stories. What I haven't found yet, and this is interesting to say, and this is one thing I think is interesting, there's not been one guy in the community who's really sat down and talked about the Pro League. Like, there's never been that analytical discussion like you see for NASCAR about the esports side. You don't see it with iRacing. You don't see it with the Pro League. So that's always opportunities. But right now, I think we're at that Oedipus of before the launch. Like, a lot of you guys are waiting to get the game. I know. Yeah, I see the smile. You're like,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting patiently.
When's that email coming out with the code and stuff? And it's like, actually, probably in the next 48 to 24 hours. # not confirmed. But that's the thing, is like, you guys are going to get the game and get your hands on it to play it and experience, and then to explain and convey those changes to your community. Right? And these guys are the guys who are in here right now in the chat. They're the same guys who are going to want to race with you on Monday, who are going to race with you on Sunday, and want to join a league. So that's the best part, is like getting those guys who are the fans of the series and of the NASCAR in their hands. There's other guys that we've talked to who are road racing guys. Like, there's oh man, why am I spacing on his name right now? I feel so bad.
Oh, forget names, man.
It's been a long day, but he's a UK F1 player. And it's all he does is primarily play F1. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoy your F1 commentary and your content of your racing. Have you ever thought about stock cars? And he's like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I've never thought. I've been kind of interested with watching, NASCAR recently that comes over here in the UK, but we don't get a lot of it. But I want to try it. And he's willing to throw himself at the road courses with those big old stock bodies and try to wheel those cars and learn the sport of stock racing. Found out the guy used to race with the Bolt, who runs for Junior Motorsports, when they ran F1 together many years ago.
Wow.
Like, how we're all connected is amazing within this community.
Small
and
world.
That's what it's all about, is growth, right? I've always said it, and I've said it to you guys before. It's like, you guys have great channels, but if I can help you grow in any way, that's the end goal. And that's the same thing for the guys watching and chat. If we can help grow this series in any way, and it may be your feedback, it may be your suggestions, it may be just you playing the game or playing with us, that's the best part about it. We're a community, and we just got to love each other, man. Got hippie on you.
Tell that to NASCAR Reddit, man. To like love us. Love the YouTubers.
See, I can't go to Reddit. Reddit's like the black hole. Next thing you know,
you can't help us there, man. You already sealed your fate there with that little cameo in Lombard's video. So
yeah, it's pretty much it's over.
Hey man. It's NASCAR Reddit, and then it goes to alien conspiracies. Stay off of Reddit.
Zane, I did want to ask you, you was talking about working with all these big people. Well, one of the biggest people you have worked with was a guy that I've looked up to for a long time. He inspired me to want to make a YouTube channel, was Jeff Fabiano. And he's such a polarizing figure, not just within like NASCAR gaming, but like gaming in general and YouTube in general. He's definitely a very, very popular channel on the platform. Mm-hmm. How has getting him involved been a big asset to you guys?
It's actually quite interesting because he is the hardcore of a hardcore fan of this series. Like, a lot of people think he just does it for the views, or maybe he's just doing it to, talk about it for a little bit. But he knows his stuff about this series. Like, when me and him met, we talked for probably 2 hours just talking NASCAR Heat, like the changes from 3 and then what's actually involving in 4. And he had in-depth, like, when he finally got the hands on the game and play it, to hear that passion, like, oh my God, dude, the way this handled, the way it changed, you were right. I didn't think that you were, I thought you were bullshitting me, but not really didn't say that. But, thought you were kidding me a little bit with how this changes. Like, he was so giddy with just what he got to play and just to talk NASCAR. And that's what I think is so great about the guy, is he's humble, and what you see is really what you get. And I think what's interesting is he was honest with me. He said, you know what? I went out there and I did the NASCAR Heat 3 stuff. I played it for a little bit. And one of the things that just kept me from doing it was the sounds. And I was like, I can relate. Lawnmower audio, the engines sound like lawnmowers. He's like, yes, exactly. And I was like, I understand that. And he's like, that's the only reason I just couldn't deal with it. And I was like, try racing for a Pro League qualifier. day in, day out with just that sound in your ears for 2 months. You get used to it. It becomes white noise and you fall asleep. But that's the great thing about a lot of you guys is everyone's fans of NASCAR and passionate about it. And he's the same way. As even though he's got over 1 million subscribers, he's just like everyone else. And that sounds so cliche to say as it comes out of my mouth, but it's really true. Is he just wants to kick back, watch a race, have a good time. I got lucky enough to hang out and watch the Bristol race where Matt almost won. And just to kind of sit there and talk the sport and watch the sport with somebody who knows it, you're just like, fuck, man, why aren't we at sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Sorry, are we on the internet? Okay, all right, cool. All right, cool. It's like, man, I just want to go hang out on the infield with this guy and have a beer and just watch this race because it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like it's an obligation in any way. It feels like it's legit. It's real. And that's what I think is great about the NASCAR YouTube community is these are the guys, and I'm not going to make you guys, your egos blow up anymore, but you were the guys who were the middle children of NASCAR. And I hate to say it that way, but the heyday of its sport, right? When it was so popular, the Dale Juniors and the Jimmy Johnsons, and before they got old and gray hairs and concussions, it was the best time of NASCAR. It was the Gen 4, and then the car tomorrow showed up, and then things got weird for a little while, and then the Gen 5. It's just the way that things changed, but it's like you had that awesomeness of NASCAR. I think a lot of us did, and it's like we missed that moment. And we still reminisce and be nostalgic about it. And that's where we talk about it. And you guys create this content about it, either be current, old school, even older with the 80s, the 70s. But it's this, and it sounds so cliche again, it's the family of NASCAR that brings us together. It's the sport, the drivers, the sponsor stories, and go back to it, the stories like Gordon versus Boyer at Phoenix. We'll be talking about that for the next 40 years still. Like it's never going to go away.
Oh yeah.
I got ranty. I apologize, man.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's good for the podcast. It's good.
Trying to fill time. Well, I was late 5 minutes, so I'm just trying to fill a little time.
Trying to fill some time, man. It's all good.
We were late 15 minutes, so you're good.
Oh, nice.
Well, I want to ask. So, I might be reminiscing a little more than the rest of the guys on here. A lot of when people look at us for main hosts. I'm probably the most old school one of all of us. So for an old school fan like me, who's like reminiscing also for the days that games were awesome, like Thunder 2004, what I guess can you say that would put any of my worries sort of at bay for Heat 4 coming up?
Okay, this is going to sound really bad, and you can take it at face value all you want. We've had 28 Pro League drivers racing the game so far because their first race for the playoffs is next Wednesday on September 11th. So we gave them the game a month early to build setups and get practice in. Within the first 2 weeks of them really playing it, the exact words that a lot of these guys were, God dang, I'm censoring myself. I haven't felt racing like this since NASCAR 2009.
Wow.
And I went, those are some bold words there, Cotton. Mm-hmm. Because that is still to a lot of people, and this is going to show my age a little bit, the holy grail of super speedway racing.
Online racing, yes.
Yeah. Like that was
intense.
That was the mountaintop of what it used to be back then for us on consoles. And those guys were making comparisons to that when they were playing it. And I was like, okay, either you're blowing smoke on my ass or you're being legitimate right now because you're still playing. Like, hold on, let me race with you guys a little bit here because I was working at the same time. I jumped on a race, and I'm telling you, 3 wide, 4 rows deep, leaning off each other, giving each other bump shots through the middle. Like they were racing like it was so like I was like, I haven't had this much fun in a long time. And then to see the high line and the bottom line work as we're at 1.5 miles and other tracks, it was really cool because at one point, and this is going to sound really dumb, Moordog is like, you know what? I'm tired of sitting on the bottom. I'm going to see if that high groove works. Pops out and just starts running the guy down up top.
Wow.
See, that's what I'm hoping for because I'm hoping that I can get into a Michigan lobby and just start running the high line and making it work.
Yeah.
But you got to take in consideration though that tire wear as well. The more you work that car, the more that tire is going to burn up. So then you're going to start pushing, or you're going to get aero. You're going to get loose. You get aero tight as there's somebody in front of you now. If you hit that apron, you're not always going to spin out like you used to, but you're going to get tight and push up the track. So it's like it's really fun in that balance. And like I got to say, there's lanes everywhere, and these guys are really working on these setups, trying to figure it out. Like I think one guy was working on a setup and practicing, and within 5-6 laps, he blew a right rear.
Wow.
He was like, I blew a right rear. I was like, you're kidding. He's like, no, not really. I need to go work on the setup a little bit.
Yeah. Gotta work on those setups, bro. No,
Man.
I'm so glad, multi-group racing is back. I mean, Damn, I get to put my Kyle Larson line to the test here. Let's see.
I'll tell you what, if it's half as good as you guys have been saying, it's going to make us making the course schedule a lot more difficult because there's going to be a lot more tracks that we're going to consider.
Yes.
Oh, I have to ask, just because I'm a Tennessee guy, love Bristol. How does Bristol run? Because in past it has been kind of unnecessarily tight to drive.
You can still run 2 lanes, outside and inside. It is still a little tight, but if you can find the right groove, you're really good.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, Core Season 2 is starting to look really good right now on NASCAR Heat 4, man. I can't wait.
And if I can give a word to Wise, because this is the first time we've gone to the carousel in a while at Sonoma, don't go in there sending it, lift a little bit. I had complaints where I was like, I'm 3-wheeling it through here, and one of the NASCAR guys from one of the teams was like, so by the way, you're going way too fast because here's the average speed. We're actually going through that corner, bro. And I was like, that's why. I'm just driving it.
gonna have to drive that track kind of offline and just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, get some offline testing in before you go online. Well, Zane, I think that'll just about wrap it up, man. You answered all of our questions and, man, just hyped me up for the game even more. I can't wait to have it, on my PS4 here in the next couple of days. So, yeah, I mean, is there any more questions from any of you guys, or that'll just about do it, right?
Sounds pretty good to me.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, I do have one last question. Where can people find you, Zane, on social media?
Oh, man. At social media, you can find me on Twitter at Zane the Bearded One. That's the number 1 because Twitter's got some weird text count limit. So Zane the Bearded One there. Instagram, Zane the Bearded One as well, but I'm really slacking on my Instagram skills, so don't worry about that. Twitch, you can find me at Zane the Bearded One as well. Full name, Zane the Bearded One. Also NASCAR Heat at NASCAR Heat on Twitter. NASCAR Heat, 704 NASCAR Heat on Facebook, and 704 NASCAR Heat on Twitch, where we do our Pro League races. I'm there every other Wednesday as an analyst for the NASCAR Heat Pro League, talking the game, the sport, and just involving everyone. You probably see me in chat a couple of times, maybe banning a few people, but we mostly like to have fun there. That's where you could find me. And honestly, guys, thanks for having me on. I feel like I'm hanging out with awesome people. I just joined the cool crowd for about 30 minutes. So thanks for letting me sit at y'all's table.
I appreciate it. Now we're kicking you out. Now we're kicking you out.
It's all right. I still got to go make dinner. I got done running qualified. It's time for my dinner time. So you guys have a great one. Enjoy the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. You have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Wow, so awesome perspective from Zane from 704 Games, man. Makes me even more hyped. I don't know, Jarrett. I know Jarrett's been the biggest critic of 704 Games, but I mean, there's a glimmer of hope here. A lot of hope.
I'm still going to wait till I play it before I start singing every praise that everybody else is, but I will say I'm optimistic.
Yes, very optimistic. And sorry to Austin there. He had to listen to the whole game talk. He's like, I drive race cars for real, man. What is that gaming crap? Basically.
No, it's a huge part of the sport. It really is. I'm not a big gamer myself, but like he mentioned, it's a community separate, but it's also a part of I think giving people insight on what it actually is like to drive a race car, and I would do it more. It's just I find you've got to carve some time out, and you've got to be dedicated, right?
Yeah.
Because once it's opening up Pandora's box, and I'm afraid if I open it up, there's no turning back.
I can relate to that a lot because for me, my YouTube channel focuses on more or less NASCAR stories. I'm not really a NASCAR gaming channel, so for me to try to dedicate time to play the game, well, that's probably usually late at night after I've tried to work on a video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think what you guys are saying, it's great to grow communities and bring new people in the sport. I think I can't remember exactly, but I know a couple of us on here, I feel like really first got into NASCAR by playing the early video games. I know me personally, I was playing NASCAR Thunder 2004, and that's kind of what first introduced me to all the drivers. That's how I learned the drivers, the paint schemes, the tracks, was playing the video games. So I'm all for any way they can make the current generation of NASCAR games great. I think that's one of the most direct and most efficient ways of attracting newer and younger fans to the sport. So I like to hear that they're very positive about it, and that they're going hopefully a good direction with everything.
Yes, absolutely, Eric. NASCAR Thunder 2003 for me. Sometimes I wouldn't even do the races. I would just listen to Joe Moore and Barney Hall, just get the intros.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Was that on Nintendo 64? Is that because I remember playing those games with my cousin, and then we went through a really dark time for NASCAR games after that. It's like every year there was one out, and you're like, oh, man, that's disappointing. There's nothing like the earlier games.
Mm-hmm. But it's
Yeah.
coming back though. It's on the rise though. It's coming back.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah.
So moving on. Do we have anything else to talk about, Jared?
Oh, we got plenty.
Oh, we got
We
plenty.
have plenty.
All right.
I guess I didn't add this in the lightning round, but Southern 500 TV ratings 1.13 overnight, but because of the delay, can't compare them to last year, so there's not really much to talk about there.
Yeah.
But I think we need to give a shot one of ours, Slap Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
One, he just hit 20K, which is crazy how fast he's grown. But two, he's basically started like this new viral trend right now. He made this awesome about the Air Base Speedway, and it's out, I believe, in Greenville, South Carolina. And so he basically was like, hey, can you find like this kind of picture and this kind of picture of the track, live racing there? They only had one NASCAR race ever. And it was a really good video. So check it out after this. You won't be disappointed. But I mean, he's had articles written about him. He's been on NASCAR Reddit, was trending on NASCAR Twitter, all over the place. I think the video, let me pull it up really quick. But last time I checked, it was well over 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Which that's normal for his videos, like all of his videos. Mm-hmm. Closing in on 200,000 views. So basically, he was like, hey, I'll give you a copy of Heat 4 or $60, whatever you want. If you can give me, like, I believe it was a picture at the track, and then like I forgot another kind of picture or something, and more evidence of that race. So we decided to jump into the hunt. And basically, we'll announce it on here too. We announce it on Twitter. But if you can fulfill what Slap is looking for, again, watch his video if you want the full in depth of what he's looking for. But if you can fulfill that, and show him what he's looking for with this track, you can come on here with us and Slap on the podcast at some point. Well, we'll work out a day. We literally, I am that invested. Like, I shouldn't say we are that invested in this right now. I want to see, man, just me personally, I want to see pictures of this track. It's like just the mystique behind it and the mystery. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's driving me crazy at this point, and it's actually inspired me to seek out like another forgotten track here in Las Vegas. It was called Las Vegas Speedway Park. They only held one cup race in 1955, and it started off as a horse track. And the owner basically BS'd his way into building it because he basically lied to like every single investor of that facility, saying like, oh, I built tracks in California and Florida. I mean, back in the 1950s, you could do that. Apparently, you can just lie your way through it. He quickly went bankrupt and died a couple years later, actually. Like after
died in bankruptcy.
Yeah, died in bankruptcy. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. But then, like, another bad part is there was only like 2 weeks of horse races, and that was it. So like they closed it down for a while, and then like the new property owners were like, oh, let's try and make the best of a bad situation. And they reached out to NASCAR, held one Cup Series event, and later closed the track down and demolished it in 1960, 1959, somewhere around there. And today it is now the Las Vegas Country Club, the famous Las Vegas Country Club. So yeah, so that used to be an old track, and I saw some old pictures on the internet and stuff like that too. I was like, wow, it was all the way out there. Like I didn't know that. Like I saw that on Racing Reference. But Slap, yeah, it's a good video by Slap, man, and congrats on 20K too. He absolutely deserves it.
It's really cool to look back on the history of some of those old tracks. Because I'll say this, even though it's been a while since I really had a chance to make like a rise and fall or something like that, my favorite video that I've made was that one on Nashville Super Speedway, finding out more in depth of what all went into that track over in just a span of 10 years.
Yeah, Nashville's, I wish they would add that back on the schedule, but that's just me, that's just me there. But yeah, I mean, again, good video by Slap, and everyone join the challenge, and you can get on the NASCAR Weekly podcast.
If you can find him exactly what he is looking for. Well, he's looking for pictures of, what's he looking for?
Jared, what exactly is he looking for?
I can't remember the exact, but one of them was like ground level from the stands pictures of the racing, and then Slap, you're in the chat. What is it exactly? Because I feel like we're butchering it right now.
Yeah.
What exactly that your bounty is here?
Yeah, explain it.
And hey, tell you what, I'm going to add on to his bounty. So if he's going to be giving someone NASCAR Heat 4 or $60, whatever they want, we're going to let them come on the podcast. Well, since this is the Air Base Speedway, if someone can find Slap what he's looking for, then I will personally get them a Bubba Wallace Air Force 124 diecast.
Ooh, okay, sounds good.
Just announce, because it sounds like a fun challenge. And hey, if someone finds it, helps that Slap, then we'll make it happen.
Dang, getting everything. Dang, we're gonna give this person everything. Y'all get to work. See, Austin, put in the work, and you can come back on the podcast and get a free diecast. Basically.
Exactly.
There you go.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
Here's what's gonna happen. Is no one's gonna find this for like 12 years, and then like if the podcast ends by then, and then somebody's gonna find it and go, oh yeah, so am I gonna get on? Special edition.
Okay,
No.
so Slap Shoes put in the chat
There it is,
criteria: a ground level shot of the outside of the speedway, and an action shot of racing going down on the track. Gotta have both. You gotta have both. Can't have one or the other. Gotta have both, guys. So get on it. Get to it. So yeah.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
man.
it's gonna be tough, but I mean, put in the work, and you can come on the podcast, and you get $60 and a free diecast from Danny B Talks, man. I mean, you get everything, man. So we'll see who gets it. So happy hunting. So moving on, Jarrett, I'm assuming the next thing on your list, because you have the list right now, involves H2 Motorsports, correct?
Yeah, go in detail about that one, man. That's a little doozy.
Well, first off, let me just ask, what the hell is going on around here, man? Jesus, like all these teams, man, are getting into some shady stuff. So, first off, it was reported last week that they released Shane Lee, which sucked because he performed pretty damn well in that ride. And secondly, it was announced today, or it was reported today by Nick Olson. He said that he had pretty good sources on this whole deal. It was reported on Twitter that the sheriff's office has pretty much closed the doors on the team. So maybe that might explain the whole Shane Lee deal. And it was so random, and it was like just odd because he was performing well in there. And I don't know, there's some shady stuff going on there. And I don't know, Jarrett. Like, what do you think? Is there more to this, or?
I think that remains to be seen, to be honest. I don't want to really comment too much on it because there's that's been put like set out in stone out in public right now. But it's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on because it sounds like it's one of those. Actually, funny enough, keeping Slap in the podcast here. It kind of seems like something he'd make a video on someday.
Yeah, me too. I'd make a video on that too. I don't know, Austin. You're more inside the sport than us, obviously. So, like, what are your thoughts on this whole deal?
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate if it were to actually be true. I certainly hope that it's not true, and you guys are hearing the same things that I'm hearing, basically from Twitter. I saw this afternoon, seeing some of the speculation, but for the sake of the employees and the sake of all the people that somehow their livelihood depends on the fact that they keep racing, let's hope they get it ironed out and get back to the racetrack soon.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to see another team go out of business. And then, like, it was a new sponsor, too, Circuit City. Well, I mean, like, they're, coming back into the sport. I didn't even know Circuit City was still around until, they showed up at the racetrack on this 28 car. So, I mean, it really sucks, and I hope they get it all turned around because that team, like, they were looking good. They were looking pretty solid for the future. And just speaking to Shane Lee, he was very optimistic about the future with the team as well at Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Still an ongoing investigation. Like, they've shut the doors for now, but, nothing's confirmed yet, on exactly what happened. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Jarrett, what else is there?
So also Chicagoland Speedway, this is, I believe, from Adam Stern and Bob Bacher, supposed to put stuff out about this. They announced a subscription-based ticket program, basically like paying monthly for your tickets instead of like one large lump sum of money, which I know a lot of other tracks do. So that's pretty good. That's something like I was pretty critical of Chicagoland after this past race weekend just because of the condition of the track inside, the infield, as well as some other stuff with lightning. That was more NASCAR, but just in general, and this is something I think is a good step in the right direction. So I'm all for this. And also, Adam Stern had reported that Monster is looking to spend twice as much money, go from $5 to $5 million to $10 million to spend on sponsoring the one car for Ganassi, which more than likely is going to be driven by Kurt Busch next year.
If they are going to do that, if they are going to spend more, I really hope that we can see more different Monster flavor cars. I feel like that's one thing I've been wanting to see for quite some time with them and Kurt Busch is like, let's see a Monster whiteout car. I want to see that one.
Yeah, they can get creative with that. There's some fun colors there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. Pretty dope to see some more colors there. That's good. What else is there, Jarrett? Is there anything else?
There's trust me, I follow Adam Stern. There's always something. So NASCAR is also in advanced talks with several different companies for their new business model. Some of the brands that were reported were A&B, Coca-Cola, Geico, Comcast, Monster Energy, obviously, and they're also chasing after telco. So sorry, Carnation, Coca-Cola is NASCAR's preferred soda.
Carnation.
But they are preferred of Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, F in the chat for what incarnation, guys. Yeah, so I don't know. It's that'll be interesting, just because like NASCAR has been hyping up this new business model, and they're gonna put it to the test here pretty soon. So it's good that they're reaching out to these Fortune 500 companies, trying to see where they can go with this. So I don't know, can't wait to hear.
I'm kind of excited about seeing how this all develops, because I think one of the things that you see as a driver a lot of times is companies have the impression that it takes so much money for them to get involved in NASCAR. And when things were going well, people were calling, wanting to get involved, and sponsors were literally like I wasn't in the sport at this point, but sponsors were literally calling down at Daytona Beach saying, we want to get involved. We're hearing all this about NASCAR. This was during the heydays. And then, NASCAR would say, hey, talk to these teams, or these teams are looking for sponsors. And now it's like we're at a point where companies are super kind of conservative with where they spend money. Mm-hmm. And so the dollar amounts are less. Like, there's still companies out there that want to get their name and want to be able to activate with NASCAR, but they can't afford like the whole season sponsorship, or they can't afford the way the business model was before. I call it the cost of entry. And now it's potentially going to open up the door for new companies, or at least more companies. And then what that we can do as drivers is say, look at all the companies that are now involved in NASCAR. Come sponsor me, or come sponsor our team. And it just adds some excitement, I guess, to the table, and it adds to the conversations that we have with other companies.
And that's some very good insight. And I just realized you're on AirPod number 2.
I am. Switch to right.
I mean, you were just saying a bunch of good stuff there, and like the one thing I realized halfway through that, your whole spiel is that you're on AirPod number 2, and then the chat did as well. Like Rod Gator pointed that out too. But
it's the important lessons, right?
Yeah,
I'm using number 2.
I know we're talking about business models, or you are,
yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, he's on AirPod number 2 now. So.
I do like what you said though, kind of about how like businesses just in general don't want to spend all their advertising money in one place, or they're very concerned. They're very they pay really close attention as to what they're getting out of each sponsorship deal. So in a lot of cases, they're reluctant to dump so much money into one thing. So that's why I've been in favor of this business model, or this change to just the Cup Series or the Premier Series sponsored by 5 big companies. I think that's really smart, because we've seen what happens. I don't know, this is the first example I think of, but Chip Ganassi Racing with DC Solar put all their money and running that 42 car with DC Solar money. And when DC Solar went under, they were out of luck. So putting all your eggs in one basket can be risky. So I like that NASCAR is deviating and trying something new. Hopefully, all those companies that were reported, huge companies everyone knows about, name brand, hopefully they can get those people involved, and them going after another telecommunications company, also big money there. So be good to see.
Yeah, can't wait to see. Hey, really quick. So I saw Austin's camera quality is up. Everyone, turn your cameras back on. I want to see if you guys are all good. I know Jarrett's good. 'cause
I took
thought
my
I'd grow
makeup
my hair.
off. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, so we could see Jarrett, and we could see you, Eric. We could see Danny B a little bit better. So let's just stay like this for the rest of the show. But yeah. So anyways,
Are we moving on to picks yet?
move on
It's
to
getting
picks.
late.
It's getting
Still
late.
more. There's
Yeah.
still more.
All right, let's go quick.
So
We got to do lightning round number 2. Come
Yeah,
on.
lightning round number 2.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No. Adam Stern once again reported that I'm telling you, man, that dude works miracles.
I'm curious. How does he get all his information?
I don't know. It's a mystery.
That's wild.
I think he sold the devil.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it's come to my mind a couple times, and I'm like, this dude's well connected.
No, you're asking the right questions. I agree.
Yeah.
This dude probably has so many connections. He probably knows like the hot dog vendor in Martinsville. You know, he knows everybody.
It's like, what's the new ingredient in the hot dogs this year?
You also how many?
Added cholesterol? Oh no.
No?
Oh God.
No, go ahead, man. Yeah,
Okay.
It's all you.
So also Adam Stern reporting that NASCAR has worked with, I believe it's pronounced Dallara, I might be wrong, on the Gen 7. It was confirmed again that they had been working with them earlier in the season. Now they consulted on chassis designs, but it said that the teams need to endorse it for them to move forward with it and move forward with like helping more with the Gen 7 car, I believe is how it was phrased. So it kind of goes along with what when we talked to Steve Phelps in Bristol about is, you know, Gen 7 is on time and more will be announced. And it's seeming like maybe this might be the slow trickle to start announcing more about Gen 7 moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the only thing that sucks is, you know, if this is true, I mean, some people are going to be out of the job, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the reports they're talking about how a lot of people within NASCAR believe that a lot of teams spend an excessive amount of money on little details that they feel like they don't need to worry about. I mean, I think it's NASCAR dipped their toe down this path with the issuing a standard pit gun for every single team, because a lot of big teams are spending hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on pit guns to gain a tenth of a second on pit stops. And I think, you know, that's what separates the Joe Gibbses and the Penske's from the smaller teams. And I think that's something NASCAR saw they could do away with. I'm okay with them doing this to an extent. I can't say what I do or don't want, because I really don't know at this point. I know some people are concerned if NASCAR goes all spec, where like all the car bodies are basically being issued to the teams. And if that's the case, like you just hinted at, there will be people at the shops that probably lose their jobs, which is terrible. You don't want to see that. But at the same time, you know, NASCAR is, as a business, is downsizing. So is it surprising? Not entirely. I guess might just be the nature of the business. You know, at some point, everyone's going to get affected by the downsizing of NASCAR.
Yeah.
And it might just be the way it goes, but we'll see what happens. I do like that they have a very reputable, you know, manufacturer. I don't know what the right word is. You know, Dallara is a very reputable company. They've worked with, is it IndyCar they've done? Yeah, they've done IndyCar, I believe. So at least it sounds like they're in good hands, and Phelps saying that they're on schedule. I'll take him at his word until he proves to be untrue, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it.
I like that you brought something up that actually was a meme last year that we haven't really talked about in a while. Pit gun communism.
Yeah, pit gun communism. Yeah, I remember that from last year.
Yeah, remember those broke like every day for the first like 6 months of the season, and now we haven't heard anything about pit gun failures in a long, long time. I wonder what they changed.
Harvick wouldn't stop complaining about it. He would talk about like every week, like, oh, these pit guns, man. Pit guns ruining my race, and all that stuff. He ended up winning like 8 of them. Jeez. Like, oh man, so he could have won way more probably if those mistakes didn't happen. But is there still more, Jarrett? Is there still more?
One more.
All right, one more.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Reported to by Shocker Adam Stern. Tyler Reddick, his plans are undefined for 2020. They don't know if it's Cup, Xfinity, what it'll be, according to reports.
His plans are pretty undefined for tonight's podcast, too.
Yeah. I was about to, you beat me to it. Got him.
Sorry.
Anyway, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I was gonna leave that one out there. Hemrick and Ty Dillon are more than likely going to be back, but there's still some rumors that Ty Dillon might not be back at Germain. And Reddick has even been rumored for Roush, maybe a third RCR team. So I guess, guys, where do you think this all lines up and fits into place for 2020.
I would much rather see him at Roush Racing, to be honest with you.
You want to see Reddick? You want to see Reddick at Roush?
Yeah, they're doing way better than RCR is right now. They already got a playoff driver. I'm just saying, I mean, I know Stenhouse is still, I mean, he's pretty much locked in, but I don't know. I don't know what Newman's situation is, and I know he's about to make the playoffs, but I mean, I don't know. Either maybe put him in the 6th or start a 3rd team, and just build that team from the ground up. I mean, RCR, they're a very good Xfinity Series program, but in the Cup Series, ooh, they are awful. They have been awful this year. Austin Dillon has taken a step back, and Hemrick, he's still a rookie. He's still getting his feet wet in the Cup Series, so I'll give him a couple more years to develop. But yeah, right now, RCR in the Cup Series is not looking good.
Yeah.
All right, you can say that all you want, but I'm just saying, what I've seen of Reddick, it seems like he has great chemistry over there at RCR. They really love him. I want to see him stay with RCR. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to see him coming out in the 31 car. I want to see them bring back a classic number. I want to see them bring back their best number, 29. I want to see that car back on the track.
Ooh, yeah, that would.
I want to see Tyler Reddick in the 29 car. If you ask me what I want, that's what I want.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Or the 31. I mean, bring back the 31 too.
Or the 33.
Yeah, 33. Yeah.
Or the 30.
Or the 30.
Or we can keep on that.
Go on and on and on.
In recent times, obviously won a lot more of the 3 car, but in recent times they've won a lot more of the 29. So I want to see that one back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be curious with the rumors saying he would go to Roush. Does that mean Newman's out? Because Stenhouse, we know, is still there for a couple more years. Does this mean they're going to bring back like the 16 or something?
No.
Because that could be interesting. I don't know.
I mean, like when I saw that, my thoughts were, well, I don't think they have enough funding for a 3rd team unless he's going to bring the whole B sponsor over with him. But I think that's more of an RCR deal more than it is Reddick. So I mean, honestly, if Newman has to be on the chopping block, then I mean, after this year, then I mean, I would release him for Tyler Reddick, because Tyler Reddick, he has the the potential to be a superstar.
I don't know. So. Newman took a 30th place car and put it 16th in the points. I wouldn't. If Newman even wanted a little bit of a pay raise, I'd probably try to keep Newman for at least one more year. That's tough. I don't know. I honestly also would kind of like to see Tyler Reddick at Roush, just because I feel like Roush is currently on the upswing, whereas I still think RCR has not hit rock bottom yet, in all honesty. I think they're working some things out. He has run well in his couple one-off races he's done in the Cup Series, Reddick has, with RCR. So maybe he does. I think you're right, Danny. He does have some sort of chemistry there that he might show up and be the best driver on that team next year for all we know. So if that's the case, then I'd love to see it. But I just don't know if I believe that team long-term is set up for the future. I know part of the reason he made the decision to move from Junior Motorsports to RCR is because he saw a clear path to the Cup Series. I remember he said this at the time when he was with Junior Motorsports. He looked up and saw, Jimmy's about to retire, but you saw Elliott, Byron, Bowman, Gregson, everybody, all these other big names that were starting to come up and taking over the Cup Series rides. He didn't see an option there long term, and so maybe he did RCR, because RCR obviously has the rooms to expand to a 3rd car, or Ty Dillon, or somebody who I know isn't an RCR driver but is still kind of affiliated with them, or Hemrick. I guess I could see that one.
I'll tell you,
long term, I just don't know. Does he want to contend for championships long term, or does he want to just ride around in 25th? And I just, Roush obviously is not going to win the championship anytime soon, but I just feel like they're on the upswing right now. Whereas RCR, I don't trust the direction they're headed right now.
I'll tell you who I like for Roush, if I'm being honest, is seeing a little Ford Alliance and Cole Custer finding a place over there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because the way we've been talking about that situation for a while this season, and I really don't want to see any of those 4 at Stewart-Haas go right now, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. Well, I mean, I would love to see Cole Custer up there, but I don't know. I mean,
I want to see Custer running in the Cup Series too, but not at the expense of the 4 they have, because I do like the 4 they have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know. So yeah, Austin, what do you think about this?
Well, I think there'll be a lot of moving and shaking. I don't have any inside information. I think we all hear the rumors, right? But I'd be surprised if Reddick goes to Roush. I'd be surprised if he leaves RCR. chances are probably they make some sort of opportunity for him over there, just because I think they think a lot of him, and I don't remember who said it, but he's got good chemistry there. I feel like he fits in pretty well there. I mean, Tyler and I go back a little bit. He's won races for Schrader. I mean, we raced together at Brad's back in 2015, and then after that, obviously we went different directions. But I don't know. I'll just put that out there, and I don't know who it's going to be, but my gut tells me that there's going to be one or two surprises. That
It usually is.
Well, that probably catches people off guard.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens, man. Silly season is definitely in full effect as we speak.
Oh, going back on that Jermaine thing, if for some reason Ty Dillon doesn't come back to that car, I really think that would be Matt DiBenedetto's best ride he could get into.
Yeah, or I mean, I want to put Reddick in there. I mean, sort of an affiliate at this point, so.
Nah, if Reddick's going up, I want him in just a Childress car.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so that'll just about do it for all the topics tonight. We're a bit over schedule, but it's all good. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Black Lives Matter. Now, let's get right into picks. It is Indianapolis week. Yikes. It's a big yikes right there. But we still got to do picks. And honestly, our picks will probably be more entertaining than the race itself. So starting off with Jarrett, who is going to suck?
Just tearing into Indianapolis every chance you get.
No, NASCAR at Indianapolis sucks. But I love the racetrack, though. I love the Indy 500 and all that. Okay. Jarrett, who's going to suck?
Whoever does a burnout on the bricks again. No, I still am not over that. Anyway, this guy is going to surprise a lot of people. He runs well here, but he never finishes well. You might remember a bit of how well he ran back in, I believe it was 2017, but he did not finish well. He has 14 starts. He's never won here, only has one top 5, 3 top 10s, and his average finish here is 21st, which is tied lowest in career stats at any track. I think Martin Truex Jr. is going to suck.
No, I was going to say Truex too, man. Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing you were too. I was doing some research on that. I was like, yeah, like he runs good, but he never finishes good here. So yeah, Truex, he's going to suck.
I really hate that him and Busch wrecked each other out in 2017 because that would have been a good battle, I think. But
yeah, that would have been a very epic battle. Danny?
So my who's going to suck is actually probably Ricky Stenhouse Jr. this weekend.
Hey, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. If you don't know, Austin, Fastenal, they flagged one of my videos, so I put a Fastenal curse on like that whole team, and they've been doing terrible all year. So.
What did they flag your video for? Content?
Yeah. I guess I used some stuff from their channel, even though I think it was like
Fastenal channel.
Yeah. Fastenal has a YouTube channel, and I was like, okay, here's some extra footage I can use. But
I thought promotion was good.
No, it was a bad season's video though. So they didn't. Yeah.
You're making fun of them, and they took offense to it.
Yeah, they probably took offense to it.
They're putting voodoo curse on him.
Yeah, and then I put a voodoo curse, and Stenhouse has been running crappy ever since. It's nothing against Stenhouse; it's against Fastenal.
Well, the thing is, like, what's even crazier about it is that like Stenhouse at the time that he had put the curse on him was actually running like pretty well, and then like ever since he's been awful, especially when he's in a Fastenal car. He's like all of his crashes are in Fastenal cars compared to any of his other sponsors, and it's just
he'll run good in a Sunny D car, you know.
But Fastenal,
it makes me wonder.
That is because of me right there. So Austin, never be sponsored by Fastenal. All right, what are your who's gonna suck picks? who's gonna suck pick?
Well, I wanted to skip who was gonna suck, but if you're forcing me into it, I'm gonna have to make a pick.
Sorry, you got to.
You don't have to answer, by the way. I'm just saying.
Well, let me answer last.
Okay. All right. Eric, go ahead.
All right. See, here's how easy you can do. You can just say a really popular driver and then just make everyone react funny. So I'm going to say Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah. See, look at the reactions we're getting already.
Bruce is going to be mad, and I said his name right too.
He's probably not watching anymore, and not after the slander earlier. Or actually, no, you were pretty nice to Jimmy earlier. Never mind. He might still be watching.
I was nice to Jimmy.
He started off now, but Jimmy Johnson. I was doing research for my video I uploaded earlier today, and Jimmy's had a very up and down season. He's running well at times lately, and obviously last week was exciting to see him run well at Darlington, but just bad luck in that case. But at the big, fast, flat tracks like Pocono, Michigan, California, he's been extremely mediocre this year. He's been 15th, 17th, 18th place every race. He's not contending for the lead ever. Maybe because the stakes are higher, maybe they throw some magic. Maybe they finally, because they say he's been running a test car. I don't believe those rumors. They say he's been running test car equipment. Maybe this week they give him the good stuff and he runs well. I don't see it happening. I think Jimmy Johnson's going to, once again, I think at one point late in the race, he's going to stay out or something ridiculous. It's not going to pan out for him, though.
Yeah. All right, Austin. Do you want to answer this or not?
How about this? I think Jimmy Johnson's going to send it, and he's going to win the race.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I'll be the first one to answer. Who do I think is going to win?
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, well, we already know that.
Apparently, it's in his contract, I guess.
Yeah, gotta stay
Spin
positive.
everything into a positive.
I'm all good for him skipping that question. So
Yeah. All right, so let's go to underdog picks. Jarrett, who's your underdog this week?
Oh, this one will get a good reaction. No, it's not Stenhouse. Just putting that there now so Darian doesn't go, oh. Yeah, anyway, this dude, he SHR runs pretty well at these types of tracks. They ran well last year. This driver has ran pretty well with this package at flatter, faster tracks. Eric, you talked a bit about him in your video. I'm going with Daniel Suarez. I think that he is a dark horse pick. I think he will make his way in, and he won't have to worry about Newman because Boyer isn't going to make it. So he'll have a lot of pressure off because Boyer will be too far back. So Suarez is my pick. He's going to make it not as the 16th seed, but as the 15th seed. I think that's how well he's going to do.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with Paul Menard just because, his history there. He's won there before. He's not going to make the playoffs, obviously, but a top 10 finish is in line for Paul Menard, whether it's straight up or on field mileage. Danny?
My underdog pick for this one is the one that Jarrett said was going to suck. I'm going to go with Truex on this one just for the fact that he is so hit or miss here. He's great at Pocono. He's had great runs, won plenty there. It's kind of a similar track, especially want to see how this new package is going to perform here too. But Truex is going to be my underdog because I think he can get a good finish and may even be up there contending for the win too.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Suarez because I talked about it in my video, but I agree with pretty much everything Jarrett said as well there. If you look at the last couple finishes, Suarez is starting to run better. He had a top 10 at Bristol, 11th last week at Darlington. A track has not been that great to him lately. I think Suarez rises to the occasion. I think this race is going to mean a lot for his career, so I think he's going to run top 10, top 5, and make his way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Austin?
I don't think a top 10's in order, but I would say that 32 is like one of the better true underdog teams right now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like they have those races where they just kind of outperform, and they're really racing, with teams that are substantially, higher budget than them. So look for them to have a decent performance this weekend.
Yeah, Corey LaJoy, definitely a fan favorite too. I mean, you saw him sign autographs at midnight at Bristol, man. Definitely a fan favorite.
He came to our meetup then. That was fun.
He came to our meetup. He knows about the whole community, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's always a good sign. So the last pick, drum roll. Who's gonna win the most boring race of the season? Well, not the most boring race. I'm sorry. That distinction belongs to
that first Pocono race was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah, never mind. So who is going to win? Jarrett?
I wanted to be creative with this one, but I recently actually did a video about the Brickyard, and outside of McMurray and Paul Menard, the worst driver to win at the Brickyard is honestly Ricky Rudd or Ryan Newman. Not bad company, though. You have to be good to win at the Brickyard. I think that one. No, that's
that was mean.
Yeah, outside of Paul Menard and Jamie McMurray. But, I mean, you look, and there's guys, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte. See, Newman gets too much hate, but, I mean, the man has a good amount of wins.
He has 18 career wins. Yeah, that's good.
And so, I'm looking at it, and I wanted to be creative. I don't think it's going to be the same picks, the Kyle Buschers, the Brad Keselowskis, but I think it's somebody who needs something to more staple a still ever growing legacy, and is going to be building on it, and I think is going to be known as one of the premier drivers of this 10 to 15 year span here. He's got 10 starts at Indianapolis. He has never won. I think he will this weekend. He has 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s in those 10 starts, and 11.8 average finish. And it's important to remember that these top 5s and top 10s are much closer to the present than his bad finishes are. So I'm going with Joey Logano. I think Logano is going to pull it off and get the win this weekend. And that was a lot of hype for something that I'm sure a lot of people are probably disappointed in the chat for.
No, I was going to go with his teammate Brad Keselowski here, Bad Brad. He won this race last year, and he's going to repeat here too. I picked Hamlin last week. I figured him and Hamlin would have a pretty good battle last week, but I don't know. He was really a non-factor last week. So Keselowski, yeah, he's my pick.
All right, my pick. His number has had a good history at this track, and he has ran pretty well this season at Pocono, the closest track I can really think of on the circuit to Indianapolis. As far as it's a fast, flat track with not a lot of banking in the turns, and also he's still been running pretty consistently good, doing a lot of big things. Got another pole award last weekend. William Byron gonna shock the world. He's won here in the past in Xfinity car too.
2017.
So he's proved he can win here. So in this package that we're running this year, maybe closer to what he held on that year. I think he barely held on to beat Paul Menard that year, and I could see first career victory this weekend.
That'd be pretty cool to win your first race at the Brickyard. I mean, I know it's not a big deal in NASCAR, but it's still a pretty big deal. That would be really cool. That being said, I'm going with Eric Jones. He's on fire. He almost won Bristol until he wrecked himself. Learned from that mistake and made Kyle Busch wreck himself at Darlington. Eric Jones has had arguably the best car 2 weeks in a row. He's been good. He finished second in this race last year. I think Eric Jones wins this weekend.
All right, Austin.
Yeah, you all heard my pick.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I was serious. I think, in without joking, realistically, I think if Jimmy wins, it's more than just a win. Like it's a story that people are going to look back at and say, look, you have an opportunity to redeem yourself after a tough season. I'm sure he's beat himself up. He's probably questioned himself, even though they've done a good job spinning it positive lately. Like the team's supposedly feeling okay and they're really positive, but I feel like everybody's sort of at the stage now where it just takes a toll on you. So it'd be good to see him in victory lane. Other than the unfortunate days, somebody's going to get bumped out, but hey, that's racing.
Yeah, stuff happens. Yes, and all 11 fans in attendance will cheer for Jimmy
Good
Johnson
Lord.
once he wins. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We could be racing at freaking Indianapolis Raceway Park, but we're going to Indianapolis,
I
unfortunately.
didn't realize you had this deep-rooted cynicism towards
It's
Indianapolis.
not towards the track. It's just I hate NASCAR going there. Like the Brickyard 400 has been dead for a long time. I mean, Jared's video, just like his last upload was perfect. Like the freaking Walking Dead, just shooting it, the freaking zombie in the freaking head. Like, yeah, it's dead, man. Just kill it. Ugh. But I don't know.
Could you imagine 50,000 people at IRP?
It would be, install bricks there. Put bricks there.
It's the image thing. I've talked about this before. Is like NASCAR can, if they can, you can downsize a track to like some people and make it look like 100,000 are there just by camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one big part that NASCAR needs to look at is if you have to downsize them, make it so that you look like the hot place to be. Honestly, I think if you want to stay at Indianapolis and still get those big crowds, I think what you need to do is, and this is going to sound crazy, go there once every 4 years, like the Olympics. Make it something that you have to go to. Make it something that you're like, oh crap, if I don't go to Indy, I'm not going to make it until like the next like election year. Like I want to, hey, maybe I should go see it. I don't think it would sell out the place, but I think instead of seeing only 50,000 that would make it look bad, you'd see maybe 125,000, which is an awesome crowd, and it would look decent for Brickyard standards. I mean, at this point, there needs to be some solution to it. There's some solution. It's just it's going to take a lot more than 5 guys in a Google Hangout to figure it out in one night.
Yeah, gonna need more. Really quick super chat, $5 super chat from Blue Jimmy 48 fan. Thanks, man. All I can do is pray. God knows what I'm going to be feeling after this Sunday. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a bumpy weekend. I don't know. I guess he's talking about just like watching the race.
He's a Jimmy Johnson fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Duh. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
I'll just say this: what pain you're feeling now is what Junior fans felt for like a good 2.5 year span.
Yeah.
So
welcome to our world.
I'm a Dale Jr. fan. I'm also a Tennessee football fan, so I've come to expect that.
Y'all lost to Georgia State.
All right, we might need to escape this one.
What?
Y'all paid him $900,000 to kick your ass. Holy.
Yes, we did, but at least I don't go to school there no more.
Oh, okay. At least you got that.
Still good.
Oh man. No, but go ahead.
What were you saying, Austin?
I was going to ask another question, but if you guys want to keep talking about this, leading into like what would be your biggest disappointment? People talk about like Jimmy going through what he's going through. For some fans, that may be the biggest disappointment they can look back at. But like, do you guys have a personal disappointment in racing or event that happened that was really sucky? Not it was a driver or somebody lost.
It was very, very, very difficult to watch Dale Jr. run out of gas in 2011 at the Cup.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, that was the most disappointing.
See, that I'm thinking that one, or when Dale Jr. got crashed by Brian Vickers at Talladega in 2006, because literally I remember, because not only like the 600 hurt because of the winless streak, but at the same time, like I got to see Jr. break the winless streak, so that got way lessened for me. But thinking back in that 2006 run, he was literally, if he had won that race, he was going to be right up there, third in the points, like 8 points out of the lead. And because of that crash, he lost over 100 points. And he lost that year, I think, by like 140. So, I mean, he would have been right in the thick of it had it not been for that crash. And so that one always nags on me.
Yeah.
If I can say one of my biggest long-term disappointments in NASCAR, and I'm probably going to eventually do this as a rise and fall video, and when I do this, I'll do the two teams together. Seeing Red Bull Racing rise to the top, start to win races, then suddenly go away, and they essentially became BK Racing, and then that team just had a slow, not even slow, just a quick downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me as a Kenseth fan, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, it's a tough choice between 2016 was a rough year. Daytona 500, leading the entire final stage, or it wasn't stage racing that, but the final 40 laps, only to miss a block and end up 15th or whatever in the final corner. Or
hell of a save, though. I'll give him that. That was one hell of a save.
And in defense, he was worried. That was his first race with a substitute spotter because his normal spotter was in the hospital. So in fairness, there was a miscommunication there. And speaking of Kenseth and miscommunications with spotters, 2016 Phoenix had that race won, going to make it to Homestead after a good year, and then thought he was clear, and Bowman was there, and went to the wall with 2 to go. And then Logano won that race, and at the time I still hadn't gotten over Logano and Kenseth, so that was a painful one.
Yeah, that sucks, but yeah, I mean,
we end the show on a down note.
Yeah, end the show on a down note. Well, actually, no, I'll lift you guys up a little bit more. So next week, September 11th, we will be on the Icebergs channel, and IDK Player will be back to talk about some more NASCAR Heat 4 stuff. He'll probably have played the game by then, as will I. So we'll talk about that, and get ready for the playoffs. They're going to be in Vegas next week, so I can't wait to be there and start working at that event for my internship at the racetrack. So can't wait. It's going to be a blast. So next week.
I'll just say this, just for more long-term stuff. We got some pretty cool stuff down the line. So stay tuned. Trust me. The 4 of us on here can definitely say, because we've been working together on a lot of stuff, there's some pretty cool stuff, heading into October, November. So
Yeah,
for sure.
Can't say right now, but trust me, we got some cool stuff in the works. And also, the whole Tyler Reddick situation, unfortunately, that was, a big miscommunication on some people's part. And then, today, with Eric's, his little connection problem here. But luckily, we were able to get the show in on Black Lives Matter, so I appreciate it. Anyways,
we adapt.
Once again, Austin, thank you so much for being a last-minute fill-in. And, I mean, you stayed the whole, I don't know, we've been here for like 2 hours, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks a ton.
Yeah, thanks a ton, man. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for including me, and I'm excited that you guys have a lot in the works, and I certainly do too. So we'll stay in touch, and just I'm excited for the future. I feel like there's just a lot coming. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear your news, man.
Well, it's like Darian said, we don't replace on the podcast.
We reload. Yes,
we reload. We revamp.
Okay, so now I am about to meet you guys and do my little. I was about to say intro. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's do it. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. This is Black Lives Matter. Catch you next time. Cue the outro.
Green flag. I'll roll.